Chapter 3179. Not really, Xiaohan and I are good friends. I can't ignore her safety, Lin Yi said. I can just relax a bit. That's good, I'll let you know if there's anything new, Feng Shipian said. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi told Shihan the news. Shihan was surprised and happy. So, I'm not in danger for now, I can go out for a walk. Of course. Lin Yi nodded. He could see that Shihan had been staying in the villa for a while. She must be bored. Now that she could relax, it was a good thing. Then. Can you go out with me? I've been in Donghai for so long, I haven't gone out yet. Shihan said excitedly, the last time I came to Donghai, I ate at a restaurant called Six Tastes House. It was very delicious. Can you bring me there? Su Shihan had been to Donghai City when she was the spokesperson for Fatty Lie's company. She had eaten at the Six Tastes House once, and it made her forget to go home. This time in Donghai City, because someone was after her, she could only stay at home. Now that the danger was over, the first place she thought of was the Six Tastes House. Okay. Lin Yi knew about Six Tastes House, but he had never been there before. Faubert had bought takeout from Six Tastes House and sent it to them. It was really good. Six Tastes House usually didn't allow takeout, but Peng Zhan was the chairman of Donghai Chamber of Commerce. His status was different. Six Tastes House was a business in Donghai. No matter how strict the rules were, it was impossible for them to not change. However, Lin Yi heard that people had to line up to get a table, and they couldn't book a table in advance. It was almost noon, so he went there now. He had to line up, so Lin Yi had no choice but to call Han Xiaopa and ask him to book a table. After the collapse of the Hidden House Xiao, the Hidden House Han became the biggest family in Donghai, so House Han was very powerful in Donghai. Booking a table in Six Tastes House was a piece of cake. It didn't take long for Han Xiaopa to call back, giving him the number of the table. In the Six Tastes House, there were 2 tables for VIPs in case of emergencies. These 2 tables could not be used no matter how many people there were. Instead, it was specially provided for VIPs. Of course, the number of VIP cards issued by the residents of Six Tastes was limited. 2 tables were enough. It was rare for the restaurant to be fully occupied. But today, it gave the boss of the residents of Six Tastes a headache. Early in the morning, 2 VIP tables were booked. If another table of distinguished guests came, there would really be no seats left. Although this kind of situation was rare, the boss of the residents of Six Tastes had to be prepared for a rainy day. He still reserved an ordinary seat nearby. Even if no one made an appointment, the reputation of the residents of Six Tastes couldn't be lost. Lin Yi brought Su Shihan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu to the house of Six Tastes. Perhaps Yushu knew her fate. Therefore, he was not as enthusiastic about going to school as before. He would go to school when he had nothing to do. If he had something to do, he wouldn't go. Lin Yi parked the car in front of the residence of Six Tastes and walked straight into the restaurant. However, at the entrance, he was stopped by the waiter. Sir, please go to the ATM over there to get a number. Thank you. I have a reservation. The person who made the reservation is Han Xiaopa. Lin Yi said. Ah, it's Mr. Han who made the reservation. Please come in. The waiter had obviously been informed by the boss before. After hearing Lin Yi said that it was Han Xiaopa who made the reservation, he immediately warmly welcomed Lin Yi in. Lin Yi brought Su Shihan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu to the VIP table number 2 under the waiter's guidance. However, just as he walked over, Lin Yi was stunned. Because Lin Yi saw 3 familiar faces at the VIP table number 1. One was Song Lingshan, the other was Tang Yuqi, who he met at the theater, and the last person shocked Lin Yi. Because that person was from Shuegu. At this moment, Song Lingshan and the others also saw Lin Yi walking in. Song Lingshan was also a little shocked. If it was any other day, she would be very happy to see Lin Yi, but today, the person she didn't want to see the most was Lin Yi. There was no other reason. Meng Yao had repeatedly told her to keep Tang Yun's matter a secret. But now, Lin Yi met her. On the other hand, Tang Yuqi obviously didn't know that Lin Yi was Song Lingshan's lover. He was a detective, and his memory was very good. Naturally, he had an impression of Lin Yi. He knew that he met this person at the theater, so he politely nodded to Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang and Tang Jucheng, on the other hand, felt a little awkward and nervous. Tang Jucheng didn't have his own opinion, so he could only look at Mrs. Tang for help, hoping that she could solve this problem. Lingshan, are you here? Auntie Wang, why are you here? Aren't you the patrolling watcher? Lin Yi was confused, but he didn't mention anything about Shuaigu. After all, he didn't know if Mrs. Tang had told Song Lingshan and Tang Yuqi about her identity, so Lin Yi only told them about her weird position. Mrs. Tang was a smart person. She understood immediately that Lin Yi didn't remember Tang Yun or anything related to her. Tang Yun was always by her side when she interacted with Lin Yi. She and Lin Yi basically didn't do anything that left a deep impression, so it was impossible for Lin Yi to know her. He wouldn't remember Tang Yun, so Mrs. Tang wasn't nervous. Ah, so it's Lin Yi. Auntie Wang came from Shuaigu this time for some private business. Your husband's nephew came back from overseas, and with Officer Song's help, we got in touch, so we're having a meal together, Mrs. Tang explained. Lin Yi nodded. He was a little confused as to how Lingshan knew that Mrs. Tang was from Shuaigu, but it wasn't a good time to ask. He only nodded. My friend and I are also here for a meal. I won't disturb you then, Auntie Wang. Thank you for taking care of me in Shuaigu. Today's meal is on me. It's fine, Auntie can reimburse you. Mrs. Tang waved her hand. You've already invited your auntie. Auntie has this bit of power in Shuaigu. To Mrs. Tang, she would be an idiot if she didn't take advantage of the situation. Shuaigu was trying its best to please her, so naturally, she wouldn't hold back. Chapter 3180. Yushu knew Mrs. Chen and gave her a look, but she didn't go over to greet her. Lingshan, second aunt, you guys seem to know that guy? Tang Yuqi was a little confused about Lin Yi's identity. He's the guy I told you about. Lingshan said. Didn't you notice? The girl with the sunglasses and pink coat beside him is Su Shihan. Oh, right, you just came back from overseas, so it's normal that you don't know her. Su Shihan. I've heard of him, he's very famous. Tang Yuqi frowned. He's your boyfriend? She was a little embarrassed to admit that she had a relationship with Lin Yi in front of Mrs. Tang. Mrs. Tang's face was a little weird as well. Although Lin Yi didn't remember Tang Yun anymore, Tang Yun still liked Lin Yi. And so, Mrs. Tang paid extra attention to the people around Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang suddenly understood why Lingshan had been so polite to her. It seemed that Lingshan had been treating her like a junior, after all. I'm not really his boyfriend. I just like him, but I haven't confessed yet. He actually has a girlfriend, but she left, so I'm just a mistress. Lingshan said. Lingshan's words made Mrs. Tang happy. It seemed like Lingshan knew her place well enough. Mrs. Tang wasn't afraid of Lin Yi finding a mistress, a mistress, a mistress, a mistress, or a mistress. After all, Tang Yun allowed it. What she was afraid of was women who didn't know their place and wanted to replace him. Mrs. Tang was very satisfied with Lingshan's performance, and started to like her. But she couldn't help her nephew, Tang Yuqi. What? You're just a mistress? Tang Yuqi was furious. Is this guy that good? I can't take it anymore, I want to challenge him right now. Lingshan, I'll show you that there are people better than him out there. Tang Yuqi couldn't be blamed for being so agitated. He heard that Lingshan was willing to be a mistress, so how good did this Lin Yi have to be? And so he wasn't satisfied. He even ignored second uncle and second aunt beside him. He only wanted to see who was better than Lin Yi. You have to finish eating first, right? Lingshan didn't stop him. She knew that if she didn't let Tang Yuqi challenge Lin Yi, he wouldn't give up. He'd only give up if he lost wholeheartedly. Therefore, it was a good idea to challenge Lin Yi as soon as possible. However, he was currently having dinner with Mrs. Tang's family. How could he challenge it midway? "I'm sorry, uncle, auntie, I forgot my manners," Tang Yuqi said, feeling a little embarrassed. He just remembered that he was meeting relatives. Why did he have to challenge people in the middle of a meal? "It doesn't matter. Although I just met you, I want to say that some things are a matter of fate. There's no point in forcing it," Mrs. Tang said to Tang Yuqi. "Ah." Tang Yuqi was slightly taken aback. He looked at Ling Shan, and his heart ached. He swore in his heart that he'd prove that he was stronger than Lin Yi. This topic ended here. Tang Yuqi did not continue. Instead, he changed the topic and asked, "Second uncle. Uncle, auntie, I heard you guys say that you're from Shuegu now? This Shuegu is Yuqi. I heard from Ling Shan that you're a practitioner, right? You belong to the Overseas Practitioners Association, so you must have heard of the ancient sects, right?" Mrs. Tang asked. "That's right. I've heard that there are some ancient sects here. Could Shuegu be one of them?" Tang Yuqi wasn't stupid. He didn't know much about the ancient sects here, but from what Mrs. Tang said, it had to be Shuegu. "Yes, I'm your second uncle's daughter, and I'm an elder of Shuegu. I'm like a housekeeper there, and I usually accompany your cousin with Uncle Tang," Mrs. Tang introduced. "I see. Doesn't that mean that you guys can't leave Shuegu as you please?" Tang Yuqi was a little disappointed. If that was the case, then even if his father came back, he wouldn't be able to see Juqing's family all the time. He'd still have to live alone, and he didn't know anyone here. What was the point of that? But Tang Yuqi knew that these big sects had very strict rules, and it wasn't something that could be changed by one person. This meeting was probably going to be hard to come by. "We can leave." Mrs. Tang saw through Tang Yuqi's worry and smiled. "But we just want to accompany your cousin. She's a girl, after all, and she has no one to rely on. But the best way is for Big Brother to come back and live in Shuegu as well. That way, you can come visit us when you miss us, and you can still work on your own business." "That's fine." Tang Yuqi was surprised and happy. Even when he was abroad, he didn't see his father often. After all, he was a famous detective, and he was commissioned to go to crime scenes all over the country. He didn't spend much time at home. This was also the reason why his father didn't want to find his younger brother. An old man without a companion was really lonely. Tang Yuqi also knew that he often didn't return home for a month or two, so he actively came here to help him find his family. But Shuegu is a big sect, and there are so many rules. "Can my father live there?" "Of course you can. Don't underestimate your cousin. She's the only elder in the sect other than the Grand Elder. She's on equal footing with the Valley Master of Shuegu, and your second aunt's status in Shuegu is also very high. Most people have to listen to her, so don't worry. After Big Brother goes there, it won't be a problem at all, and we'll have a companion," Mrs. Tang explained. "That's good. I'll ask my father to come back and go with you. This way, the old man won't be lonely anymore, and I'll visit you when I'm free." "There's nothing to worry about," Tang Yuqi quickly said. "All right, you can contact Big Brother. We'll wait for him here," Mrs. Tang said. Tang Yuqi didn't think that things would go so smoothly. He finally felt relieved. On Lin Yi's side, Su Shihan and Cheng Yi didn't ask about Mrs. Tang's situation. Su Shihan received Shu's eye signal and knew that things were complicated, so she didn't ask much and focused on the food in front of her. Chapter 3181. The meal was very enjoyable, but after the meal, Tang Yuqi did not leave. He had been waiting for Lin Yi at the door, and Mrs. Tang and Tang Juqing did not leave either. They were actually a little worried that Lin Yi and Tang Yuqi's fight would hurt the harmony between them. After all, there were some things that Mrs. Tang could not say directly. She could not tell Tang Yuqi about Lin Yi's identity, let alone Lin Yi. Therefore, she could only think of a way to smooth things over when they fought, so that her nephew and son-in-law would not hurt the harmony between them. However, Mrs. Tang was relieved that Tang Yuqi and Lin Yi were not the kind of people who could not afford to lose. Tang Yuqi wanted to challenge, but it could be seen that he was a very upright person. If he lost, he would probably not continue to pester them. Lin Yi, I've heard a lot about you. I want to challenge you. I don't know if you will give me this opportunity. At the door of the home of 6 tastes, Tang Yuqi said directly to Lin Yi. Okay, there's no time like the present. Let's do it today. Lin Yi nodded. Let's find a place with no one around. How are we going to compete? You just make the rules. We're all cultivators. Whoever gets knocked down can either get up or admit defeat. However, fists and feet have no eyes. Even if we don't want to take each other's lives, it's inevitable that we'll get injured. However, I have the minor revitalization pill and the great revitalization pill here, so you don't have to worry. Hearing Tang Yuqi's words, Lin Yi was a little surprised. He actually provided pills to his opponent? This Tang Yuqi seemed to be a really honest person. However, the more he was like this, the happier Lin Yi was. After all, Aunt Wang had helped him a lot in Snow Valley, and he did not want to become enemies with her relatives. Sure, but I don't need pills. Lin Yi smiled. You mean, the person who will be injured will definitely be me? Tang Yuqi's expression changed, but he did not lose his temper. He only said, it's good to be confident. We'll only know after the competition. Ling Shan, naturally, knew that Tang Yuqi had misunderstood Lin Yi's intentions. Lin Yi could heal himself, and didn't need medicine at all, but she couldn't explain it. I know an abandoned construction site nearby, let's go there. Sure. Lin Yi and Tang Yuqi both nodded. And so, Ling Shan's car led the way, with Mrs. Tang's and Lin Yi's 2 jeeps following behind, heading towards the construction site. Dragon Throne full text reading however, when they were on the road. Lin Yi's keen senses told him that they were being followed. Although Lin Yi didn't know where the stalker was. For the time being, he didn't know how strong the other party was. However, there was no need to think about it. To be able to hide from him and follow him, the other party must have extraordinary strength. Most likely, the other party's strength was above his. However, Lin Yi was troubled as well, who was following them. According to what Feng Shipian had said, his enemies from the ancient sects were all afraid that he would cause trouble for them. Who would dare to cause trouble for him? Plus, Lin Yi's jade didn't react at all, so it seemed like there was no danger. Could it be that this person's target wasn't him? Or was he further away? Or was this person's target Tang Yuqi? Even Lin Yi found the thought funny. After all, among these people, there was only one. Other than Tang Yuqi and the driver disciple, they were all people that Lin Yi had tacitly accepted. They were Lin Yi's teammates, and the jade would warn them if they were in danger. Evidently, there wasn't, so it could only be Tang Yuqi and that disciple. But what kind of enemies would these two have? One was a detective who had returned from overseas, and the other was a disciple randomly sent by the Snow Valley. The stalker was obviously an expert, and the possibility of targeting these two people was very low. But no matter what, Lin Yi didn't let his guard down at all, and continued to search for the direction of the stalker. Along the way to the abandoned unfinished building site, Lin Yi didn't find anyone following them. This made Lin Yi even more fearful, but on the surface, he still pretended to be very calm. He couldn't be flustered. Now that the ancient level had spread, he was a ruthless person who could kill 2 experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage in seconds. At least at the level that he could come into contact with, there were no heavenly Tao experts, and experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage in great perfection were the kings of cultivators. But for Lin Yi, this level of strength should not be too difficult to kill. In that case, even if he was followed, Lin Yi couldn't be nervous, otherwise, it would expose his own weakness. Of course, Lin Yi didn't get out of the car immediately, because he felt that the danger was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed that this person was waiting for an opportunity to make a move after they stopped the car. Lin Yi was observing. He had to control the danger within a controllable range. On Tang Yuqi's side, he got out of the car first, but just as he got out, a black shadow flew towards him. Lin Yi was shocked, but he didn't dare to make a move. After all, Lin Yi saw clearly at this moment that the person in front of him actually had the strength of the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. After all, Tang Yuqi was also a Heaven Stage expert, and he was a detective. His sixth sense was not ordinary. When he felt danger, he suddenly used his true energy to protect his body, and began to choose to retreat and dodge. But the strength of the other party was too strong. Even if Tang Yuqi dodged, he still couldn't completely avoid it. A palm hit Tang Yuqi's left shoulder, and Tang Yuqi's whole body was hit by this powerful force and flew out, crashing into a wall of the unfinished building. The huge impact made Tang Yuqi's body like a cannonball, directly smashing a big hole in the wall, and his whole body also fell into the unfinished building. But in this way, the black shadow lost the target of attack, and temporarily couldn't find Tang Yuqi in his line of sight. He could only stop his attack and wait for Tang Yuqi to run out of the unfinished building himself. Otherwise, he couldn't just attack the unfinished building directly, right? This created a chance for Tang Yuqi to survive, and he didn't die here. Who are you? How dare you hurt someone? Mrs. Tang was both shocked and angry. Tang Yuqi was her husband's long-lost nephew, and now that he had been injured in front of her, she could not just sit by and do nothing. I am the inspector of the Snowy Valley, and also the Great Elder's mother. What are your intentions in injuring my nephew for no reason? He smiled and said, the everyday and tomorrow sect, right? I really do have a problem with you guys. And it's not just 1 or 2 days. Oh. Brat, say it like that. Do you want to cause trouble? Pure cold heavenly venerate looked at Lin Yi coldly. He didn't want to cause trouble, but it didn't mean that he could tolerate it. His gaze and tone of voice towards Lin Yi were a little unfriendly. That's right. Lin Yi nodded indifferently. Your everyday and tomorrow sect is good. Previously, you sent Zhang Naipeo to go against me. I admit it. Who asked me to have a grudge with his boss, Zhong Pingliang? However, a few days ago, you sent some pure heavenly venerate to find trouble with me. I killed him, and now another one? Do you want to die too? You are. Pure cold celestial master broke out in a cold sweat. His clothes were all wet at this moment. His face became extremely pale and he almost fell to the ground on his buttocks. If it was any other time, if an early heaven rank expert dared to talk nonsense in front of him, he would have already taken action. Threatening him was courting death? He would most likely kill that person first. But things were different now, because Lin Yi's words had revealed his identity. He was the person that the Mad Dragon Old Master had warned them not to provoke, the person that they had to hide from, the person that had traumatized Zhang Naipeo, the person that had killed the pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing in one hit. Lin Yi. What am I? Lin Yi looked at pure cold heavenly venerate with a faint smile. That. Senior Lin Yi. I was wrong. I didn't know you were here. If I had known, wouldn't I be a fool if I still came? I don't want to die. I was just joking. Yes, it was just a joke. Pure cold heavenly venerate stuttered a little. I have a small Huan pill here. Give it to him. After eating it, he can return to the market. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. You come and go as you please? Lin Yi asked. What's your purpose in coming down the mountain this time? I came out to be a bystander. Pure cold heavenly venerate suddenly had an idea and said, there's no more bystander in the mountain gate, so I came out to be a bystander. Yes, to be a bystander. He had heard people say something about being a bystander, but he didn't know the real meaning. He thought it really meant being a bystander, so he quickly said so. After saying that, he even praised himself. I'm so smart. Who are you lying to? Lin Yi asked lightly. If you don't want to die, tell me the truth. Yes. Okay, actually, it was the mad dragon ancestor who asked me to kill Tang Yuqi. Pure cold heavenly venerate said. Why? Lin Yi asked. He really couldn't figure out how Tang Yuqi could make a sex ancestor remember him and send someone to kill him. It said that he humiliated our ancestor. I don't know anything else. Pure cold heavenly venerate naturally didn't dare to easily reveal Zhong Pingliang's identity. This was a big secret of the sect. Fortunately, Lin Yi didn't ask much because Lin Yi couldn't guess what the relationship between Mad Dragon Ancestor and Zhong Pingliang was. Alright, scram. I'll protect Tang Yuqi. Go back and tell your ancestor that if he sends more people, I'll go to his door. Lin Yi said. I'll kill all of you even if I have to pay a price. That's right. Yes. I'll get lost now. Pure cold heavenly venerate nodded quickly. He didn't even have the courage to talk to Lin Yi directly. He took out a small rejuvenation pill from his arms, put it on the ground, and then quickly disappeared on the spot. Lin Yi looked at the back of pure cold heavenly venerate and breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had successfully deceived this person. After a while, Lin Yi no longer felt like he was being followed and monitored. It seemed that pure cold heavenly venerate had really left. Chapter 3183. He knew that the other party was an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Tang Yuqi was heavily injured in just one exchange, even when he was on guard. If he did it again, wouldn't he be as good as dead? Therefore, Tang Yuqi really didn't dare to go out at will. He just hid in the unfinished building and waited for pure cold Tianzuan to leave before daring to come out. However, he was a little ashamed. Lin Yi was also an expert at the early stage of heaven rank, but he dared to stay calm in front of pure cold Tianzuan, an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. However, what shocked Tang Yuqi the most was that Lin Yi was not afraid of pure cold Tianzuan, but pure cold Tianzuan was actually afraid of Lin Yi. Moreover, she was so afraid that she was trembling. Listening to Lin Yi, it seemed that Lin Yi and the everyday sect had a deep hatred. Moreover, Lin Yi had killed people from their sect. Pure cold Tianzuan, an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank, was actually afraid of being killed by Lin Yi. Wasn't Lin Yi's strength already heaven-defying? However, Lin Yi was indeed only an expert at the early stage of heaven rank, which made Tang Yuqi very puzzled. However, since he was a detective, his brain was very good, and his logical thinking was very strong. From the short conversation between pure cold Tianzuan and Lin Yi, he could judge that Lin Yi's strength was definitely not limited to what he saw at present. Eat this small rejuvenation pill. When you recover, we will compete again. Lin Yi pointed to the small rejuvenation pill left by pure cold Tianzuan on the ground and said. Thank you. Although half of Tang Yuqi's shoulder was broken, he could still walk. He endured the pain and nodded to Lin Yi, then picked up the small rejuvenation pill and swallowed it. Now, his injury was enough for the small rejuvenation pill, so there was no need for the great rejuvenation pill. Tang Yuqi did not say much and quickly refined the small rejuvenation pill. His injury was also under control, but his injury could not be healed in an instant. He also needed to rest for a while. Now, he definitely could not compete. You go back and rest first. Whenever you want to compete, just let me know. Lin Yi's impression of Tang Yuqi wasn't bad, but he couldn't give Ling Shan to him just because of that. To tell the truth, Lin Yi had very special feelings for Ling Shan, and the two of them had been through a lot together. Asking Lin Yi to give her away to someone else was evidently out of the question. There's no need to compete. However, Tang Yuqi said, Mr. Lin, I know that I'm lacking, but that's just what happened just now. Facing the expert from the everyday sect. I'm far from you. He's afraid of you. This proves that you have the strength to make him fear you. Otherwise, with his strength, there is no need for him to be so afraid, and there is no need for him to lower himself to you. But to me, he was an expert who could kill me with a wave of his hand. That's why I'm inferior to you. Ha. Lin Yi smiled. From the looks of it, Tang Yuqi wasn't a stubborn person. He was a very logical person, and after knowing the gap between them, he wouldn't continue. Ling Shan, I wish you happiness. Tang Yuqi turned to Ling Shan. This time, I'm convinced. Tang Yuqi, actually, you're a good person. Ling Shan was a little embarrassed. Alright, I've received a good person card. Tang Yuqi sighed and smiled, but, Captain Song, I still want to stay here. After all, my father is coming, and it's not very practical for me to go overseas and be a detective. You won't fire me, will you? Of course I wouldn't reject a cheap detective like you working for me. Ling Shan smiled. Since Tang Yuqi said that, naturally, Ling Shan couldn't just kick him out. If he wanted to stay, then so be it. She could see that Tang Yuqi was a man of his word. Alright, then we'll go back first. Auntie Wang, if you're not busy, why don't you come to my villa? Ling Shan knows the place. Lin Yi invited. After all, Auntie Wang had helped Lin Yi a lot back in Snowy Valley, and Lin Yi had always been very grateful to her. But now, Lin Yi knew that Auntie Wang and Tang Yuqi had just met. She'd definitely discuss things with Tang Yuqi first, and there was no way she'd leave Tang Yuqi at her house. I won't be going. I'll be going back to Snowy Valley after I'm done here. Actually, Mrs. Tang wasn't in a hurry. She just didn't want to interact with Lin Yi too much. She didn't want Lin Yi to remember things from the past. If that happened, then Tang Yun's efforts would be wasted. Alright, then we'll meet again when we have the chance. Lin Yi didn't force it. He thought that Mrs. Tang was busy. Ling Shan went back alone, and Mrs. Tang and Tang Juqing went with Tang Yuqi to find a place to catch up and discuss the matter of Juqing's brother coming back. Lin Yi, on the other hand, drove Su Shihan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu back to the villa. Dongfang Xiaotsui was a woman who couldn't keep her mouth shut. After obtaining Lin Yi's forgiveness, the worry on her face disappeared. Not only that, she felt that she was very arrogant. There was no other reason. Lin Yi was famous in the ancient world, and no one dared to mess with him. Now that she was the mother of Lin Yi's follower, Feng Shipian, she seemed to have a relationship with Lin Yi, and so she felt that she was also a very arrogant person. Dongfang Xiaotsui's attitude made Feng Tianhu feel that something was wrong. He was worried about Lin Yi's matter, and suddenly seeing Dongfang Xiaotsui, who was on the same boat as him, so he felt that something was wrong. And so, when there was no one around, Feng Tianhu blocked Dongfang Xiaotsui's way. Sister-in-law, you've been very happy these days? Ah. Tianhu, you. What are you doing? Dongfang Xiaotsui was shocked by Feng Tianhu's sudden appearance. Nothing, I'm just wondering, I heard that Lin Yi is coming to teach us a lesson. Why are you still so happy? I just wanted to remind you, and we can discuss how to deal with it. Feng Tianhu said as if he was telling the truth. You're lying. Dongfang Xiaotsui didn't have any tricks up her sleeves. After being scared by Feng Tianhu, she immediately told the truth. Shipian already called Lin Yi, and Lin Yi said that he won't vent his anger on me. Even if he wants revenge, he'll go to House Dongfang first, not me. Stop scaring people. Chapter 3184. I must have misheard. Dongfang Xiaotsui didn't know that Feng Tianhu was testing her, so she nodded with certainty. All right then, sister-in-law, you can continue with your work. Pretend I didn't say anything, Feng Tianhu said with a smile. Then I'll go first, Dongfang Xiaotsui said and turned to leave. Feng Tianhu, on the other hand, fell into deep thought again. Many people were like this. They had no memory and forgot the pain once the scar healed. Feng Tianhu's mind started to work again when he heard that there was nothing else. Of course, he didn't want to go against Lin Yi. He didn't have the guts. The person he wanted to go against was still Feng Tianlin. He wanted to take over the position of the young master of the Feng family. Feng Tianhu was very sullen now. He talked to the everyday sect, but they didn't pay attention to him. It was obvious that they didn't think he was qualified. Someone come. Feng Tianhu yelled after returning to his room. Boss. A man in black suddenly appeared in Feng Tianhu's room. These years, Feng Tianhu had some people under him. These people were his secret forces. He didn't expose them and didn't dare to use them easily. Usually, these people were just gathering information for him. How's the thing I asked you to investigate? Feng Tianhu glanced at the man in black and asked, Did you find Feng Tianlin's previous woman? Boss, I have some clues, but I'm not sure where exactly. The man in black said, according to the investigation, the last place that woman appeared should be Songshan City, and then she disappeared, but we can't rule out the possibility that she left secretly. However, our people have been secretly investigating the woman who suddenly appeared in Songshan City in the past few years. Oh. Songshan? Feng Tianhu frowned slightly. To be honest, the two cities he was most wary of were Donghai and Songshan, since they were Lin Yi's base. If there wasn't a need to, he didn't want his people to step into these two cities and interact with Lin Yi again. But now it seemed that he had to go to these two cities again to investigate, so he said, You've done a good job, but you have to be careful. When investigating, you must avoid a person named Lin Yi. Don't get into conflict with this person. I understand, boss. The man in black nodded. The news of the ancient level has already spread. That Lin Yi can instantly kill two peak late-stage heaven-rank powerhouses. We naturally won't clash with such an expert. I trust you guys. Go. Let me know as soon as you have any news, Feng Tianhu said. Yes. The black-robed man clasped his fist. Feng Tianhu, on the other hand, was deep in thought. He was waiting for a chance to bring down Feng Tianlin and Feng Nidian, but it was obvious that these two would be happy because of Lin Yi, so Feng Tianlin chose to endure it for now. Little Peach's impression of Kong Xiaobo wasn't bad. Maybe it was because of Tian Chan's reminder, but Little Peach paid special attention to Kong Xiaobo. Once a woman paid special attention to a man, and the man was very outstanding, the chances of this woman falling in love with this man were very high. There was a very high chance that this woman would fall in love with this man. This was especially true for a woman like Little Peach, who had just been emotionally hurt and wanted to walk out of the shadows. Of course, Little Peach's business ability was also very strong. Kong Xiaobo also relied on her a lot. Some of the core businesses in the company were also involved. This way, Little Peach really found out that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company had nothing to do with the cauldron manufacturing. There was no information about the cauldrons here, and there were no production records either. What was certain was that the cauldrons weren't made here. This made Little Peach sigh in relief. After all, she didn't want to lie to Kong Xiaobo. This way, she didn't have to sell anything. Although Tian Chan would help her take some pressure, if Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company really made the cauldrons, Kong Ming would definitely force her to steal the information. Kong bro, Little Peach's phone rang. It was Kong Ming. She quickly adjusted her emotions and picked up the phone. Little Peach sis, how is it? Do you have any clues? Kong Ming asked passionately. Kong bro, I'm starting to take charge of the core business of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but I didn't find any information about the cauldron's production. I didn't see any production records either, Little Peach said. So I'm sure that this place hasn't produced any cauldrons. Kong bro, you should give up on this place, oh? No. Kong Ming was a little disappointed. In fact, he could more or less guess this result. After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was a production line. He was sure that this cauldron was produced by House Lu's electronics factory. It was reasonable that there wasn't any information here. However, Kong Ming naturally wouldn't let Little Peach give up. He didn't want her to return to the Heavenly Elixir sect. It wasn't easy to kill this person. She was an eyesore in front of him. If it affected his relationship with Little 11 and caused Elder Xianchen to be wary, then it wouldn't be worth it. So, Kong Ming said directly, Little Peach, don't give up. You should continue to stay there. This cauldron might be a core secret. It can't be displayed in front of normal employees. How about this, you should continue to stay there. I think that you might need 3 to 5 years to get to know these secrets. Little Peach, if you want to be with me, you have to be prepared to be a spy for a long time. Do you understand? Okay, Kong bro, Little Peach will continue to stay here and find out more about this cauldron. Little Peach quickly nodded. However, she was very disdainful in her heart. Ever since she knew about Kong Ming's ugly face, she knew that Kong Ming was just playing with her. Be with her? He just wanted her to stay away from him, so that she wouldn't interfere with Kong Ming's good things. However, staying here was also Little Peach's intention. During this period of time, she had a very good impression of Kong Xiaobo. Although she knew that Kong Xiaobo had a girlfriend, Little Peach was a person from the ancient era. She didn't have the concept of monogamy. So, this didn't affect her liking for Kong Xiaobo. Chapter 3185. I know. Peach Blossom pretended to be very serious and replied. Kong Ming hung up the phone with satisfaction. On Little Peach's side, she was also relieved. She put away her phone and was about to turn around and leave the secretary's office. When she turned around, she saw Kong Xiaobo standing at the door of the secretary's office with a gloomy face. Kong. President Kong. Little Peach was shocked. She stood on the spot, dumbfounded. She didn't expect that her phone call would be discovered by Kong Xiaobo. Tao Xiaohong, don't you want to explain this matter to me? Kong Xiaobo's face was very ugly. He didn't expect that his secretary was actually a spy. Who is the brother Kong on the other side of the phone? President Kong. I was wrong. I shouldn't have hidden it from you. But, I really have no malicious intent towards you and the company, not even a little bit. Little Peach cried and was at a loss. Kong Ming couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect Little Peach to cry first. Kong Xiaobo was also a soft-hearted person. Like boss, like little brother. He also couldn't bear to see a woman cry. Although he was annoyed, he still comforted, Little Peach, don't cry. If you have something to say, just say it. You can't solve the problem even if you cry. President Kong. Then. Do you believe me? Little Peach wiped her tears and asked weakly. Xiaobo didn't know how to respond to Peach's question at all, he hadn't even said anything yet, and she was asking if he believed her or not. Red, tell me the whole story, and if you're not wrong, then I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you. If you are really not wrong, I naturally won't blame you, but if you really betray the company's interests, even if I rely on you, I can't let you live. President Kong, I will tell you now. Little Peach didn't hide anything. She directly told him her identity and her previous relationship with Kong Ming. Also, she told Kong Xiaobo that Kong Ming sent her to spy on the secret and played with her. When Kong Xiaobo heard the name of his cousin, Kong Ming, he was a little surprised, but he was more angry. This cousin of his was actually going against him and his boss. This person was really hopeless. The person Xiaobo hated the most in his life was Kong Xiaoming. Not only did he hurt Fun, but Kong Xiaoming as well. He even sent people to oppose him and Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo was no longer the hot-blooded young man who impulsively wanted to go up to the rooftop with Lin Yi. He had been in the business world for so long. Naturally, Kong Xiaobo had the ability to read people. Whether Little Peach was lying or telling the truth, Kong Xiaobo could tell at a glance. Based on Little Peach's words and tone, Kong Xiaobo could basically tell that Little Peach wasn't lying. Moreover, the Kong Ming Ming that Little Peach mentioned was very similar to his character. Blinded by greed, he was a person who put benefits above everything else. At the same time, Kong Ming Ming also sympathized with Little Peach. This person was completely a sacrifice that Kong Ming Ming used to climb up. It could be said that Kong Ming Ming didn't have any feelings for her. He was just using her. After using her, he would kick her away. How can I believe you? Although Kong Xiaobo had already made a judgment in his heart, he wasn't an irrational person. He needed evidence for everything. He looked at Little Peach and asked. I have a recording of my conversation with Kong Ming Ming. Because these are for young sect master to listen to, I recorded it. Director Kong, I can play it for you. After you listen to it, you will know Kong Ming Ming's thoughts. My task here can be said to be completed. I should go back, but he asked me to stay here for 3 to 5 years. Is this what someone who likes me would say? 3 to 5 years, how long is that? Will he let me stay here alone? Little Peach shook her head with a bitter smile and said, Director Kong, I won't lie to you. I came here to avoid Kong Ming Ming and start a new life. Our young sect master is a good person. He gave me this opportunity and told me that I just need to pretend to be courteous to Kong Ming Ming. Okay, let me listen. Kong Ming Ming nodded and signaled Little Peach to play the recording. Little Peach didn't say anything more. Instead, she played the recording of the conversation between her and Kong Ming Ming to Kong Xiaobo. After listening to the recording, Kong Xiaobo basically believed Little Peach's words. He couldn't help but sigh slightly. He felt that Little Peach was very pitiful. At this time, he was very sympathetic to Little Peach. Perhaps it was because they were in the same boat as Lan Fun. Both of them were pitiful people abandoned by Kong Xiaoming. Little Peach, I believe you. So, your name isn't Tao Xiaohong, but Little Peach? Kong Xiaobo asked. Thank you for your trust, Director Kong. Little Peach was surprised and happy. Yes, my name is Little Peach. Tao Xiaohong is the name that the young sect master gave me. I've been a maid since I was young. I don't have any name. Your heavenly elixir sect's young sect master is an upright person. In fact, Kong Xiaobo also trusted the heavenly silkworm transformation. Back then, Kong Xiaobo also heard that the heavenly silkworm transformation had helped Lin Yi, so his impression of the heavenly silkworm transformation was still very good. If you can ask him to call me and explain this matter, then this matter will be over. You are still my secretary, and I will not pursue this matter anymore. I'll try. Little Peach didn't dare guarantee that the heavenly silkworm transformation could communicate with Kong Xiaobo for her. After saying so, Little Peach dialed Tian Chan's number. Little Peach, what's the matter? Tian Chan still had a lot of feelings for Little Peach. After all, she had followed her for so long. Now that she had left her side, Tian Chan would often think of her. Young sect master, it's like this. When I was on the phone with Kong Ming Ming, I was discovered by Director Kong. Little Peach said weakly. Little Peach, why are you so careless? What did Kong Xiaobo say now? Tian Chan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She didn't expect Little Peach to not be vigilant at all. Didn't she know how to avoid making a phone call? He said that he wants you to explain to him. Little Peach said as she told Tian Chan what she had already confessed. Okay, I'll talk to him. Tian Chan agreed readily. This surprised and delighted Little Peach. She quickly gave the phone to Kong Ming Ming and said, Director Kong, the young sect master wants to talk to you. Hello, young sect master Tian. Kong Xiaobo picked up the phone nervously. After all, the other party was the young sect master of a super ancient sect. When had Kong Xiaobo spoken to such a person? Chapter 3186. In that case, she subconsciously wanted to leave a good impression in front of him. What Little Peach said is all true. I can guarantee it with my identity and status. Besides, I'm the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect. I don't think I need to lie to you. That's true. Kang Xiaobo couldn't think of any reason for the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect to lie to him. Although he couldn't rule out the possibility that the Silkworm Change and Little Peach were in cahoots, Kang Xiaobo knew that the Silkworm Change was the Silkworm Change, and Kang Mingming was Kang Ming. Kang Mingming wanted to deal with Lin Yi and him, but the Silkworm Change had helped Lin Yi a lot. Not only did it look for Lin Yi in the trial, but it also helped when the Dark Knight Palace was attacked. This showed the attitude of the Silkworm Change. If the Silkworm Change threatened Lin Yi and asked Lin Yi to hand over the materials of the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, he believed that Lin Yi would definitely hand it over. Lin Yi was a person who valued kindness. If the Silkworm Change wanted the materials, it didn't need to put in so much effort. It could be done with a phone call. Why would it need to pretend with Little Peach? As for Kang Mingming, Kang Xiaobo also knew that he had always wanted to deal with Lin Yi and himself, so what Little Peach said was very reasonable. As for why Kang Mingming, as an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect, didn't listen to the Silkworm Change, the reason was very simple. A big sect couldn't only have one force. Little Peach had also said that the person who supported Kang Mingming was the Silkworm Change's martial uncle, who was also a strong person. So it was reasonable that the Silkworm Change couldn't fight with him head-on. Since young sect master Tian has said so, I will definitely believe you, no matter what. No matter what, you've helped my boss so much, so there's no need to lie to me. Kang Xiaobo said, however, young master Tian, do you mind if I tell boss Lin Yi about this matter? You can tell him. It's okay, Tian Chan said. Alright, thanks for understanding. Xiaobo said with a sigh of relief. He couldn't hide this from Lin Yi even if he wanted to. If he had to keep the heavenly silkworm transformation a secret, he would have been in a difficult position. But now, there was no problem. After hanging up the phone, Kang Xiaobo only felt sympathy for Little Peach. He didn't expect Little Peach to be so pitiful, so he sighed and said, Little Peach, you're also a pitiful person, and so is my girlfriend. I'll introduce you two when the time comes. I'm sure you'll have a lot of common topics to talk about. In fact, Little Peach and Lan Fen belonged to the same company. They had known each other for a long time, but they didn't have a deep relationship. After all, Little Peach was only Kang Xiaobo's secretary. She had gone to make friends with Kang Xiaobo's girlfriend. It was a little strange. But it was different when Kang Xiaobo brought it up. In fact, Little Peach also wanted to talk to Lan Fen. She had read Kang Xiaobo's information and knew Lan Fen's background. This girl's background was even more miserable than hers. Compared to her, she was nothing. Little Peach was just cheated by Kang Mingming, but Lan Fen was not only cheated, but also set up a car accident by Kang Mingming. In the end, she was even forced to jump off a building. Not only did she have mental problems, but her legs were also broken. Fortunately, she met Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo. Otherwise, Lan Fen's life would have been ruined. The two of them were in the same boat, and Little Peach also had a good impression of Kang Xiaobo. Naturally, she had to pay a visit to Lan Fen. Thank you, Mr. Kang. Actually, I've already read the information and know that Miss Lan was also hurt by Kang Xiaoming. If you can introduce us to each other, I'll be able to vent my frustrations. It'll be a lot easier. Little Peach didn't hide her knowledge of Lan Fen. Oh. Kang Xiaobo was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Little Peach had already known about Lan Fen. But thinking about it, since she was sent by Kang Mingming and alarmed Silkworm Transformation must have investigated his information in advance. In this way, Kang Mingming was relieved. He nodded and said, then I will call Xiaofen. As Kang Xiaobo said, he picked up the phone on the desk and dialed Xiaofen's internal line. It's me, Xiaofen. Kang Xiaobo said directly. Xiaobo? Why are you calling me? Xiaofen was a little surprised. Usually, at work, Kang Xiaobo would do his business and wouldn't call her directly. Even if there was business, he would let his assistant contact her. Generally, he wouldn't call her personally. Do you have anything on your hands now? Kang Xiaobo asked. Not for the time being. Why? What's the matter? Xiaofan asked curiously. It's like this. You know my secretary, Tao Xiaohong. Before she came to the company, there was a story. I hope you can enlighten her. Kang Xiaobo said. Me? Enlighten her? Xiaofan was slightly stunned. She didn't understand what Kang Xiaobo meant. How can I enlighten her? Before, she was just abandoned by Kang Mingming, that bastard. Kang Xiaobo said with a bitter smile. What? Xiaofan was stunned after hearing it. She didn't expect Kang Xiaobo to say this. This Tao Xiaohong actually has a relationship with Kang Mingming? Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Actually, it's like this. Kang Xiaobo briefly told Xiaofan about the matter between Little Peach and Kang Mingming. Then, he said, now that the young sect master of Heavenly Elixir sect has guaranteed in front of me, there's no problem with Little Peach. I understand. Ask her to come over, Xiaofan sighed. Xiaofan sighed. Looking at Little Peach's current state, she thought of herself in the past. However, her injuries were deeper than Little Peach's. Little Peach had only just fallen. Okay, I'll ask her to look for you now. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Kang Xiaobo asked Little Peach to look for Xiaofan while he called Lin Yi, boss. Xiaobo, what's the matter? Lin Yi quickly picked up the phone. Boss, it's like this. Kang Xiaobo told Lin Yi about Little Peach and his conversation with Heavenly Silkworm transformation. Lin Yi was shocked after hearing Kang Xiaobo's words. He didn't expect Kang Mingming to reach out to him again. He didn't expect Heavenly Silkworm transformation to be on his side. Actually, Lin Yi had always been doubtful about Heavenly Silkworm transformation's attitude towards him. In the Heavenly Elixir sex trial, when Heavenly Silkworm transformation was making things difficult for Lin Yi, it helped Lin Yi out. These all showed that Heavenly Silkworm transformation shouldn't be his enemy. Chapter 3187. Although it was Kang Mingming's loss, the pills didn't belong to him. It should belong to Sky Elixir sect. Did the young master of Sky Elixir sect not hold a grudge against him? Or was it just as Kang Xiaobo said? There were several factions in Sky Elixir sect, and Kang Mingming's faction and Silkworm Change's faction were enemies. So the loss was probably the profits of that faction, and it had nothing to do with Silkworm Change? Lin Yi couldn't figure it out, but there were some things that Lin Yi couldn't ask Silkworm Change directly. He could only take it one step at a time. Since Silkworm Change is acting as Little Peach's guarantor, you don't have to worry about anything. Let her continue working in your company. We still have to give Silkworm Change face. Lin Yi was a grateful person, and Silkworm Change had done him a favor. No matter what, he had to trust Silkworm Change this once. Kang Xiaobo's company didn't have any core secrets. Those medicine formulas were treasures to House Kang, but they were useless to Sky Elixir sect now. If they wanted them, they could make them themselves. They didn't need to steal from Lin Yi. So from Lin Yi's point of view, Silkworm Change wouldn't be able to do anything bad to him. I understand. Kang Xiaobo nodded. After hanging up, Lin Yi called Lu Jinghan. Jinghan, I have something to tell you. Lin Yi said, then told her about Kang Mingming's plans on the first-grade automatic cauldrons. You need to be on guard here. If Kang Mingming can't find a breakthrough from Fatty Lai's side, he'll go to your side. Lin Yi bro, I know. Kang Mingming has already made his move. He's bribed a foreman of our House Lu's electronics factory, and he's stealing the factory's information. It seems like he's working on two fronts, not just Boss Lai, Lu Jinghan said. Oh. He's already made his move. You know. How did you deal with it? Lin Yi asked in surprise. I didn't deal with it. However, I've already sent people to keep an eye on Foreman Su. Lu Jinghan said, on my side, if I get rid of Foreman Su, Kang Ming will definitely find other ways to steal the information. Instead of that, it's better to control the danger in our own hands. We just need to keep an eye on Kang Ming and Foreman Su. Oh. Is there nothing on Foreman Su's side to steal? Lin Yi didn't expect Lu Jinghan to have already noticed this. He was relieved. Yes, that side is filled with production materials. In fact, the core technology of the first-grade automatic medical cauldron is the source code in the single-chip microcomputer. The manufacturing process and plans can actually be imitated by most high-end electronics companies through our products. It's not a problem at all. Kang Ming can steal these things if he wants to. It doesn't matter, Lu Jinghan said. If that's the case, where did you save the source code? Lin Yi nodded and asked. The source code is in the head office. It's in the computer in the secret room of my office. No one in this secretary company knows that when the source code is written, I personally operate it. I let the company's workers place the chips on the programmer in batches and give it to me. I operate the computer in the secret room to write the program. Lu Jinghan said, although it's a bit troublesome, fortunately, the production and sales of our medical cauldrons aren't high. There are only a few a day. I can operate it myself. Each time it takes about half an hour. I can write 50 single-chip microcomputer chips in batches at the same time. That's good. Lin Yi was relieved after listening. But you have to be careful. If Kang Ming can't get what he wants from Foreman Su, he will definitely think of other ways. Don't worry. I'll be careful, Lu Jinghan replied. On Kang Ming's side, he spent 600,000 yuan to get the information from Foreman Su. Although 600,000 yuan wasn't a lot, Kang Ming was quite depressed. After all, it wasted a lot of his time. All the information he got was the manufacturing process. This manufacturing process could be easily replicated by any electronics company. The circuit board inside was also very simple. There wasn't any technical difficulty in producing it. With these things, it could only be said that it was easier for Kang Ming to copy it. It could save some time to design the mold, but it didn't help the material. That's all? Kang Ming looked at Foreman Su with some disappointment. Boss Kang, this is all the information I can get. You see. Foreman Su looked at Kang Ming's face and knew that he wasn't satisfied with the information he brought. However, there was no other way. Foreman Su had tried his best. Why isn't there any information about this single-chip microcomputer and the source code? Kang Ming frowned and asked. I heard that this single-chip microcomputer isn't produced in China. The program is written by the head office. Our electronics factory isn't responsible for these. Foreman Su said with some difficulty. Oh. It's written by someone from the head office? Do you know who's responsible? Kang Ming's eyes lit up. As long as the program was written here, it was fine. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if it had to go overseas. I'm not very sure about this. You know that I'm just a small leader in the factory. Foreman Su said, I can't find out about the head office's matters. All right. You can go back. Don't tell anyone that I'm looking for you. Do you understand? Kang Ming said sternly, otherwise, even if I'm exposed, you won't be able to get away with selling trade secrets. I understand. Foreman Su said quickly. It's good that you understand. Kang Ming nodded, stood up, and left. He had to find a way to find out about the Lu family's headquarters. It seemed that the source code of this single-chip microcomputer was in the hands of a few people. It was impossible for ordinary employees to know about it. However, Kang Ming was lucky. He waited near the factory for a few days and saw the person who sent the single-chip microcomputer to the factory. This person was the one who sent the programmed microcontroller to the factory. Kang Xiaoming was able to find the person now. When this person sent the single-chip microcomputer, got in the car, and was about to leave, Kang Mingming opened the door of the front passenger seat and sat down. "Bro, let's talk," Kang Mingming said with a smile. "Who are you? What do you want?" "Let me tell you, I don't have money. I'm just delivering the goods to the company. This car is the company's bus, not mine." The person saw Kang Mingming get in the car and was shocked. He thought that Kang Mingming wanted to rob him. Chapter 3188. Hee, let me introduce myself. My surname is Kang, and I'm here to discuss a business deal with you. Kang Mingming introduced himself. "What business do you want to discuss with me?" "I'm just a delivery man. If you have a business deal, go talk to our company's leader. That's the job of the department manager. I'm just an employee. What's there to discuss?" The delivery man was confused. "Don't rush, I just want to ask you something. If you answer me, I'll give you 20,000 kuai. How's that?" Kang Xiaoming said as he took out 2 stacks of cash and placed them in front of the delivery man. "You? What do you mean?" "I'm telling you, I don't do anything illegal. I'm just a delivery man. I don't know anything. You want me to kill people and burn things down? I won't do that." The delivery man looked at the cash in front of him and was shocked. "Don't worry. I'm not asking you to kill people or burn things down. I just want to ask you a question. Where did you get all these microcontrollers?" Kang Mingming asked. "That's the question. The company asked me to deliver them. You want me to answer this question and you'll give me money?" The delivery man opened his eyes wide and looked at Kang Mingming in disbelief. "Of course, that's the question. But you have to tell me, who gave you these microcontrollers?" Kang Mingming said, which means, who wrote the program? "This microcontroller was given to me by Vice CEO Lu's assistant. As for who wrote the program, I don't know." The delivery man shook his head. "Vice CEO Lu? Who?" Kang Mingming asked. "It's Lu Jinghan, Vice CEO Lu. She's the leader of our Lu's group." The delivery man explained. "The leader of your group? How can she be the Vice CEO? Who's your CEO?" Kang Mingming asked curiously. Lu Jinghan was the CEO. "It's like this. The CEO of our group is actually Mr. Lu Tianli. But Mr. Lu Tianli entered rehab because of drug abuse. After he came out of rehab, he's been living in a sanatorium. Vice CEO Lu is actually the same as the CEO. It's just that she hasn't officially taken up the position yet. That's to say, Lu Jinghan wrote the program in this single-chip computer?" Kang Mingming asked. "More or less, I'm not sure either." The delivery man said. "Okay, the money is yours." After Kang Mingming got the information he wanted, he got out of the car. Now things had reached a dead end. If this program was really written by Lu Jinghan, then it would be useless for Kang Mingming to look for anyone but Lu Jinghan. But how could Lu Jinghan give the program to Kang Mingming? Kang Mingming pondered. He could only start with Lu Jinghan's secretary. Of course. Kang Mingming didn't look for Lu Jinghan's assistant directly. Usually, the assistant was Lu Jinghan's confidant. He only looked for Lu Jinghan's personal secretary. This secretary was only responsible for cleaning the office and serving tea. She did not participate in the business. So this kind of person was not Lu Jinghan's confidant, and she wouldn't earn much money. It was easier to attack. As expected, Kang Xiaoming managed to get some important information from his personal secretary. As expected, Lu Jinghan was responsible for writing the SCM. However, there was no programming device in Lu Jinghan's office. According to the long-term work observation of this personal secretary, there was a secret room in Lu Jinghan's office. This secret room could only be entered through fingerprint verification. Then this secret room, you guys have never entered it before? Kang Mingming asked. No, including Vice CEO Lu's assistant and business secretary. That's the forbidden area of the CEO's office. Only the former CEO Lu and the current Vice CEO Lu can enter. There's a verification, the personal secretary said. Oh. Does that mean Lu Tianli can enter as well? Kang Mingming suddenly thought of something and his eyes lit up. Yes, this was the former CEO Lu's office. The personal secretary said. Okay, I understand. Kang Xiaoming left after paying the fee. He didn't stay around the company anymore. Instead, he went to carry out another plan. In fact, Lu Jinghan had been monitoring Kang Mingming's contact with these people. Although she didn't know what Kang Mingming had said to these people, she didn't care. These people couldn't touch the company's core secrets. Even if Kang Mingming went to them, he wouldn't be able to get the source code. It would be useless. So Lu Jinghan let him do whatever he wanted. As for the employees in the company, Lu Jinghan decided to deal with them later. After Kang Mingming left, he went to Lu Tianli's sanatorium. This wasn't a secret. With Kang Mingming's connections, finding out where Lu Tianli was an easy task. In the middle of the night, Kang Mingming went around the people house Lu sent to watch over Lu Tianli and went straight into Lu Tianli's room. Kang Mingming was now a sky-class master. Although he didn't have much fighting ability, it was still a piece of cake for him to go around the guards outside the door. These days, to Lu Tianli, every day was painful. After leaving the drugs, Lu Tianli became extremely haggard. Although he wanted to continue taking drugs, he didn't have the money or the means to buy them. Although he came out of the sanatorium and stayed in the sanatorium, there were still guards sent by Lu Jinghan outside the sanatorium villa. They said it was to protect his safety, but in reality, they were watching him and not letting him leave. He wouldn't have the chance to touch drugs again. During the day, Lu Tianli could go play cards and drink with his friends in the sanatorium. He could get through it, but at night, it was hard to get through. Every time the drugs acted up in the middle of the night, Lu Tianli would be in so much pain that he had the urge to die. At this moment, Tianli's addiction was acting up, and he was panting heavily on the bed when Kang Xiaoming appeared in front of Tianli's bed without a sound. Want one? Kang Mingming passed a cigarette to Lu Tianli. Of course, this cigarette had been specially processed, and there were drugs in it. Kang Mingming had prepared it before coming. Tianli saw the cigarette and grabbed it without thinking, putting it in his mouth. Kang Xiaoming lit it up for him at the same time. Lu Tianli didn't even have cigarettes, let alone drugs. So he didn't care who Kang Mingming was or how he got in here. Naturally, he wouldn't let go of a cigarette to satisfy his craving. Chapter 3189. This wasn't a normal cigarette, it smelled exactly the same as the ones he used to smoke. This was a cigarette with drugs in it. Although he knew subconsciously that taking drugs wasn't right, he couldn't control himself. Besides, he didn't have anything now. Living in the sanatorium every day was boring, so he might as well just throw it away and enjoy himself for as long as he could. Good, this is satisfying. Tianli praised. He was as happy as a god after finishing the cigarette. Mr. Lu, do you want another? Kang Mingming smiled and placed a pack of cigarettes in front of Tianli. You. Who are you? How did you get in here? Why do you have drugs? Tianli looked at the pack of cigarettes in Kang Mingming's hand, his eyes filled with greed. But he wasn't stupid. He knew that Kang Mingming wouldn't be here just to give him cigarettes for no reason. There had to be some other reason. Who I am isn't important. What's important is that I can provide you with a lot of these cigarettes. Kang Mingming said with a smile. Why? What do you want? Tianli needed cigarettes, but he knew that there was no free lunch in this world. Mr. Lu is a smart man. You should be able to enter the secret room in the CEO's office, right? Kang Mingming asked. The secret room in the CEO's office? You mean the Lu's group? Tianli asked, but his eyes were on the cigarettes that Kang Mingming had placed on his bedside table. Have another one if you want. Kang Mingming said as he handed the cigarette over again. After Tianli took another puff, he said, That's right, the secret room in the CEO's office. You can go in, why do you ask? Tianli was confused why Kang Mingming was asking about the secret room. There was nothing in there, just a computer and a bed. This was where Tianli used to rest when he was frustrated. Otherwise, who would leave something valuable in the company? It wasn't like the Lu family didn't have secret rooms to store things in. Bring me in later. As a reward, I will give you 10 cartons of cigarettes. They are all like this. Kang Mingming pointed at the cigarettes on the table and said. 10. Tianli paused. He knew that Kang Mingming going to the company's secret room wouldn't be a good thing, but his desire won out over his rationality. He needed drugs. 10 cigarettes was enough for him to have fun for a while, and the pleasure he got from smoking just now made him extremely happy. But Tianli was a successful businessman after all, and he knew how to bargain. 30. He raised the price directly. If Kang Xiaoming wanted to go to the secret room, then he must have a plan. Although Tianli Lu didn't think that there was anything important in the secret room, he still tried to test the waters by stating his conditions. Sure. Kang Xiaoming didn't even think about it. The drugs were rare, but it wasn't expensive for Kang Xiaoming. It was just 50 cigarettes. It was a drop in the ocean compared to the reward. Tianli saw that Kang Mingming agreed so quickly, and he knew that his condition wasn't enough. You have to give me some upfront, otherwise how can I trust you? Now? Kang Xiaoming paused for a moment. Sure, they're all in my car. Actually, I prepared 40 of them. If things go smoothly, I can give them all to you. I don't have them anyway, I don't take drugs. All right. Tianli was happy again. You want to go to the secret room? Let's go now. But there are guards at the door, can you hide? Sure. Kang Xiaoming nodded and replied casually. With that, he grabbed Tianli and jumped out of the window, disappearing into the night. Tianli was surprised and happy as he watched his body fly up into the air, landing a few hundred meters away from the villa. You're a practitioner? Yes, I'm a sky-class master. Kang Mingming said. So you should know that I have no reason to lie to you. If I wasn't afraid of being discovered, I would have just destroyed the secret room's mechanism by force. It wasn't that Kang Mingming hadn't thought of doing that, but he was afraid that he'd be discovered when he was destroying the mechanism. If that happened, he'd have to run first, and there wouldn't be a second chance. That was why he brought Tianli here. Hearing that Kang Mingming was a sky-class master, Tianli was shocked. He nodded. All right, if that's the case, let's go. The two came to a car, and Kang Mingming opened the trunk, showing the cigarettes inside to Tianli. Tianli got in the car, satisfied, and followed Kang Mingming to the Lu group. The Lu group's security was good, but these people were all masters of the common world. It was impossible for them to guard against a sky-class master like Kang Mingming. Kang Mingming brought Tianli and flew into the washroom with the window open, going upstairs to the CEO's office. Lu Jinghan didn't change the lock, so Tianli easily opened the CEO's office door with his key. Jinghan didn't expect Tianli to come to this place again. After all, Tianli was still the old CEO in name, but he'd already retired to the sanatorium. Why would he come back? After entering the office, Tianli flipped open one of the murals in the office with familiarity. Behind the murals was a fingerprint recognition device. Tianli keyed in the password and verified the fingerprint, and the door to the secret room opened slowly. Because Tianli entered the office and opened the door to the secret room through the proper way, the security measures weren't activated at all. It was like Jinghan coming here alone at night. As long as Jinghan didn't purposely look at the security cameras, she wouldn't notice anything. All right, the door is open. Do what you want to do as soon as possible. If someone finds out, neither of us will have a good ending. Tianli reminded. Kang Mingming nodded. I know that even if you don't remind me. I'll do it as soon as possible. Chapter 3190. However, Kang Mingming wasn't interested in this programmer at all. Even if he took it away, it wouldn't be of much use. He didn't have this kind of MCU, and he wouldn't be able to produce it. What he needed to do was to copy the source files from the MCU, analyze them, and write them into a MCU that he could buy. This would replace the original MCU and act as a simulation. Kang Mingming quickly turned on the computer and entered the system. Because this was a secret room, Lu Jinghan didn't set a password. After all, she didn't expect anyone to be able to enter the secret room. Of course, even if she did set a password, she could still use the USB drive to bypass the original system and copy the data inside. Soon, Kang Mingming found a folder called Cauldron Source Program in Lu Jinghan's D drive. Kang Mingming opened it and saw the single version, 10-in-1, and 5-in-1 source files. Kang Mingming quickly inserted the USB drive into the computer and copied the source files out. From the looks of it, this computer was used to write programs. Other than the programmer's driver, there was nothing else. Kang Xiaoming also copied the programmer's driver. Although he couldn't copy the MCU in the cauldron, he could use the programmer's driver to analyze the general parameters of the MCU and find a replacement MCU chip. After copying everything, Kang Mingming turned off the computer and pulled out the USB drive. He said to Tianli, Mr. Lu, let's go. Oh. It's done. Tianli didn't know what Kang Mingming had copied, but he didn't have the time to think about it. His mind was filled with the 40 cartons of cigarettes. After locking the office door, Kang Mingming brought Tianli back the way they came. Kang Mingming didn't lie to Tianli. After sending him back, he gave the 40 cartons of cigarettes to Tianli and left Yanjing City quietly, returning to the Sky Elixir sect. With these programs, it wasn't easy for Benjamin II to find a replacement chip after making some modifications, but it wasn't too difficult either. After a few days of hard work, he finally found a replacement chip that could mimic the original chip's function. As for the cauldron itself, although Kang Xiaoming had gotten the production process information from Supervisor Su, the titanium alloy used in the cauldron wasn't smelted by this factory. It was imported from a place called X Island. Kang Xiaoming didn't know the process of smelting it. But this wasn't a problem for Benjamin II. He used an ordinary first-grade cauldron, combined with the assembly process provided by Su Gongming, and actually created an automatic cauldron made from an ordinary first-grade cauldron. This modified product had the same function as an automatic cauldron. Although the cost was higher because it was a real first-grade cauldron, but compared to the price of this cauldron, the cost was still very low. When the Xianchen ancestor and Kang Mingming heard the good news, they were all smiles. Father-in-law, it seems like this time, we can attack Lin Yi again. Once our cauldron goes on the market, we'll break Lin Yi's monopoly. At that time, we'll sell it at a slightly lower price. This way, people will come to buy our cauldron, Kang Mingming said. And, not only are we cheap, but the Sky Elixir sect is also a long-established alchemy sect. I believe those alchemists will know who to choose when the time comes. The Xianchen ancestor was also very confident about the product that was about to go on the market. Okay, mass-produce the finished product as soon as possible, and we'll put it on the market. The Xianchen ancestor said decisively. But, father-in-law, we don't have any funds now. The money is used to refine first-grade elixirs. There are still so many elixirs in the warehouse. Kang Mingming said with some difficulty. Doesn't the Cultivator Trade Association provide loans? Let's go there to borrow some. Anyway, we can earn back the money quickly, the Xianchen ancestor said after thinking about it. Okay, I'll go now. Kang Mingming was also confident about the first-grade automatic cauldron. After all, he had seen Lu Jinghan's sales. If he could get 1/3 of the market, he could make a lot of money and make up for the previous losses. On this day, a major event happened in the cultivation world. The first-grade intelligent cauldron produced by the Sky Elixir sect went on the market. The so-called first-grade intelligent cauldron was actually the same thing as the first-grade automatic cauldron. The two had different approaches but achieved the same result. The only difference was the name. Kong Ming was also very smart. He did not produce those single edition and 5-in-1 cauldrons. Instead, he directly produced a 10-in-1 limited edition fine cauldron. He knew that if he wanted to seize the market, he could only snatch the market share from Lin Yi by producing and selling such rare products. In any case, this thing was not developed by Kong Ming. He only cared about the immediate benefits, not the long-term benefits. In his opinion, this kind of imitation business would not last long. After the sales war between the two parties started, the price of the cauldron would definitely become cheaper and cheaper. When that time came, the profits would also decrease. In this case, it was better to sell as much as possible from the beginning. This 10-in-1 cauldron was usually sold for around 1.5 billion in the Cultivator Trade Association. However, when Kong Ming's 10-in-1 cauldron went on the market, it was sold for a discounted price of 999,990,000. The aristocratic families and sects were not stupid. If there was a bargain, they would naturally choose the cheap one. Moreover, if they went to the Cultivator Trade Association to auction it, they might not be able to get it. On the other hand, the Sky Elixir sect sold it 24/7. It was obvious which one was better. Therefore, on the first day that the Sky Elixir sect's 10-in-1 intelligent cauldron went on the market, 3 were sold. That was close to 3 billion. After deducting the manufacturing cost, there was a net profit of 2 billion. It was a good business with a small capital but great profits. The people from the Cultivator Trade Association were dumbfounded when the Sky Elixir sect's medicinal cauldron went on the market. The people from the Liu family were also dumbfounded. They did not expect that the other party would also have a medicinal cauldron with the same function on the market. Although the Sky Elixir sect claimed that it was their latest and exclusive development, anyone with a discerning eye could see that it was a complete imitation of Lin Yi's first-grade automatic cauldron. Chapter 3191. Moreover, there were a few more useful first-grade pills that Lin Yi's cauldron didn't include. The Heavenly Elixir sect could add them, but they didn't. What did this mean? When Vice Chairman Ouyang told Lin Yi the news, Lin Yi was shocked and angry. This was a blatant fake. Lin Yi didn't even need to think about it. It must be Kong Ming's doing. This guy liked to do this kind of thing the most. The Kong family was like this in the past. Chapter 3192. Alright, since you put it that way, we'll leave it at that. You and Jinghan can discuss how to upgrade the cauldron. Lin Yi didn't dwell on this matter. After all, this thing was made by Han Jingjing, and Lin Yi was reaping the fruits of her labor. Even Han Jingjing, the inventor, wasn't unhappy about it, so what was there for Lin Yi to be unhappy about? This thing belonged to Han Jingjing, and even if she gave it to Kong Ming for free, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to say anything, let alone pleading for House Liu. So Lin Yi agreed right away. In fact, as long as Han Jingjing wasn't angry, Lin Yi wouldn't be either. Lin Yi felt that Han Jingjing's hard work was betrayed by Lu Tianli and Lu Jinghan to Kong Ming, and it wasn't worth it for Han Jingjing, but Han Jingjing didn't feel anything wrong about it. The news of Miracle Dr. Guan's cauldrons being able to be upgraded spread across all the ancient sects and houses like a spring breeze. This made those sects and houses that were waiting to see what would happen once again run to the Cultivator Trade Association. The houses and sects that bought Miracle Dr. Guan's cauldrons were so happy they couldn't close their mouths. Although they bought the cauldrons at a high price, and people thought that they were being taken advantage of, it was great now. Those who bought the Sky Elixir sect's cauldrons were the ones that lost out. Although the Sky Elixir sect said that their cauldrons were original, these sects and houses weren't idiots. Who couldn't tell that the Sky Elixir sect was copying Miracle Dr. Guan's cauldrons? The functions were the same, and there were no changes or additions. Who would believe that it was original? Miracle Dr. Guan's quick retaliation proved this point. They were targeting the counterfeit cauldrons in the market. If the Sky Elixir sect was original, why didn't they upgrade their cauldrons as well? The medicinal cauldron sales center of the Heavenly Elixir sect suddenly became deserted from the bustling crowd that it used to be. Everyone obediently went to the Cultivator Trade Association to register for the auction. Those who bought the medicine cauldrons also went to the Lu group to upgrade their medicine cauldrons. Hence, the Heavenly Elixir sect's first-grade intelligent medicine cauldron was like a flash in the pan. The few people who bought it all regretted it. They couldn't get a refund, nor could they go to the Lu group to upgrade it, because they didn't support the upgrade of pirated chips. This Lin Yi is too cunning. I'm afraid he has already thought of a countermeasure. Once we replicate it, he will level up and cheat us. Kang Ming said hatefully. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Right now, the initiative is in their hands. The only thing we need to do now is to keep up with Lin Yi's pace. We can't fall too far behind them. However, Patriarch Xianchen was very calm. The most important thing now is to buy a 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron. Then, we'll crack the program inside and upgrade the products we sell. As long as our after-sales service can keep up, even if we're imitations, they'll still sell well. That's true, but the key question is, how do we get the 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron back? Kang Ming said worriedly, after using the previous method once, we definitely can't use it a second time. Even if I go to Lu Tianli again, it's useless. Let's not talk about whether he can take me there. Even if he does, I'm afraid that Lu Jinghan has already changed the password. We still can't enter the secret room. You think of a way to deal with this matter. Discuss it with Dr. Benjamin too and see if he has a way to crack the new program? Patriarch Xianchen asked. After all, he has come into contact with those source programs now. See if there are any other ways? Okay, I'll ask him. Kang Ming nodded. After chatting here, he called Dr. Benjamin II. Dr. Benjamin too, I have such a thing to tell you. Kang Xiaoming answered the phone and said straightforwardly. I know, is it about the 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron? Dr. Benjamin too obviously also paid attention to the medicinal cauldron on the market. He already knew about the upgrade of Lin Yi's medicinal cauldron. Yes, it's about this. If we don't improve and upgrade, then no one will buy our products. I'm not the only one involved in this, there's also your center's interest. We'll split the profits together, so if you don't think of a way, all our previous efforts will be wasted, Kang Xiaoming said. Who said I don't think of a way? I have been studying the programmer driver you copied for me these days. Dr. Benjamin too said, with the driver of the programmer, I can decipher the parameters and definitions of the special single-chip chip. With these things, I know the general principle of the single-chip chip, and I can start to crack it. Oh. Is this for real? So, you have cracked that single-chip chip. Kang Ming didn't expect that the programmer driver that he casually copied back would be so useful. Naturally, in these few days, I can successfully read the program in the single-chip chip. Dr. Benjamin too said, if I didn't have this single-chip driver, I probably wouldn't be able to crack it in my lifetime. But with this thing, everything has become a lot easier. That's great. Well, I will send you a 15-in-1 medicinal cauldron in a few days. You crack the program, and we will also provide an upgrade service for the medicinal cauldron. Kang Ming said. Okay, send me one. Dr. Benjamin too said, by the time your parcel arrives, I guess I will have almost cracked it. Okay, then I will prepare it. Said Kang Ming. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that after a week, the Heavenly Elixir sect also launched an upgrade service for the medicinal cauldron, and the upgrade fee was only 100 million, which was half of the 200 million Lin Yi charged. Moreover, the Heavenly Elixir sect also announced that as long as the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company's medicinal cauldron was upgraded, the Heavenly Elixir sect would also quickly upgrade the cauldron in less than a week. When this news came out, the users who bought the Heavenly Elixir sect's medicinal cauldron were instantly excited. Those sects and families who were preparing to buy Lin Yi's medicinal cauldron also began to hesitate. After all, the Heavenly Elixir sect's medicinal cauldron was much cheaper, and the upgrade fee was also cheaper. Although the speed of the upgrade might be slower than Lin Yi's medicinal cauldron, it wouldn't be much slower. A week or so was still acceptable. The most important thing was that the cauldron could be upgraded. Chapter 3193. Everyone knew that the Heavenly Elixir sect's cauldron was an imitation, but they were cheap and of good quality. Being able to buy a cauldron with the same function as Lin Yi's cauldron at this price was still acceptable. So after the customers who bought the cauldron successfully upgraded, the sales of the Heavenly Elixir sect's cauldron increased again. This caused Lin Yi's cauldron to suffer a critical blow, and Lin Yi's sales plummeted. Although the Cultivator Trade Association's cauldron was auctioned every week, the final price was around 100,000 yuan, which wasn't too high. Sometimes, it was even lower than the Heavenly Elixir sect's cauldron. There was no other reason than that the cost of upgrading this cauldron was higher than the Heavenly Elixir sect's cauldron. Their upgrade cost was cheaper. This sudden blow made Lin Yi very depressed and helpless. He thought that with Han Jingjing's upgrade service, the cauldron sales would recover, but now it seemed that he was too naive. Kang Mingming wouldn't let this go so easily. Lin Yi could only call Lu Jinghan again because the orphanage's construction was starting again, and they needed money every day. Xiaoka's wish was to build the biggest charity orphanage, a children's charity hospital, and a charity school. All these things were completely free, and the construction cost alone was ridiculously high, not to mention the subsequent investment. But because the cauldron was really profitable, Lin Yi didn't even think about it and asked Fatty Lai to approve it when Xiaoka suggested it. Xiaoka was probably very surprised that her dream came true. She was just thinking about it casually, but it came true. But now that the cauldron's sales had plummeted, it wasn't enough to support the orphanage's investment. This made Lin Yi a little anxious. Jinghan, what's going on? Why does Kang Mingming have the upgrade program? This time, isn't the upgrade program in our hands? Did Kang Mingming get it again? Lin Yi was a little puzzled. How did Kang Mingming do this? The upgrade procedure hasn't been leaked. However, I'm afraid our MCU has been cracked by Kang Mingming's people. I guess the driver in my computer was also copied by Kang Mingming. This program contains the parameters of the MCU we use. According to these parameters, if the other party has a master, they can crack our MCU. In other words, they didn't get the upgrade program, but from our upgraded medicine cauldron. Lu Jinghan said. Is that so? Lin Yi frowned and asked, then can we replace the microcontroller in the next upgrade? You can replace the entire circuit board, but the MCU. Currently, this is the only one that has matured. If we want to develop a new model of MCU, not to mention our technical strength, even if we can do it, it will take a very long time. So I have to ask your friend for help. Lu Jinghan said apologetically, it's all my fault. If we don't put these things in the company, we'll be fine. Forget it. Lin Yi shook his head, it's not your fault. If you don't put them in the company, you can't put them at home, can you? You can only blame your father Lu Tianli for letting drugs get to his head. I understand. After this, I will be more careful. I removed all of my father's authority in the company. My father has nothing to do with the company now, and he's removed from his position as CEO. Lu Jinghan said. Does Jing have any countermeasures? Lin Yi thought about it. He asked. Jing said that the next version of the upgrade program she's working on is actually to allow the medicine cauldron to automatically change the temperature during pill making. The alchemist doesn't need to change the temperature according to the temperature curve. This way, as long as a beginner alchemist can condense the pill fire, they can use the first-level automatic medicine cauldron to make pills. They don't need to be familiar with controlling the fire's temperature. Lu Jinghan said, but because Kong Mingming can crack our chip, Jing Jing can only change the upgrade method. She's preparing to make a peripheral and use it to achieve the previous function. Oh. Then this peripheral won't be cracked by Kong Mingming? Lin Yi asked. As far as I know, there should be a program in this peripheral, right? Can't the MCU with the stored program be cracked as well? It's not the same, Lu Jinghan explained. Lu Jinghan explained, this peripheral, although there is a microcontroller inside, there is no calculation program inside. It can't calculate the required alchemy fire temperature according to the current temperature of each alchemist's alchemy fire. In fact, to put it bluntly, this is a Wi-Fi module with a unique authentication ID serial number. Through this peripheral, you can access the company's server. All the calculations are done remotely on the company's server. Finally, through this module, you can receive data instructions after the calculation to change the alchemy temperature required by the medicine cauldron. This peripheral itself has no program. So, can't Kong Mingming copy this thing? Lin Yi asked after listening. The ID serial number of each peripheral is unique. It needs to be verified by the server to obtain the calculation data. The ID serial number that is not approved cannot access the server. At the same time, if a duplicate ID serial number logs in multiple times at the same time, it will be blacklisted by the server, and the ID serial number's calculation qualification will be cancelled. Lu Jinghan said, so a simple imitation is not effective. Oh. This idea is good. Who came up with it? Lin Yi was a little surprised. This kind of remote server would probably leave Kong Xiaoming at his wit's end. It's me. Lu Jinghan said with some embarrassment. She stole Han Jingjing's credit, but she didn't blush at all. It was natural. This is good. Lin Yi nodded. In the future, the subsequent upgrade of our medicine cauldron will also be done in this way. This way, although safer, is also relative. In fact, on Kong Mingming's side, as long as he collects some data after the server feedback, he can still recompile the program. It's just that the process will be a bit longer, and it won't be as easy to crack as before. Lu Jinghan said, to put it bluntly, they just collect data and integrate it together. The data covers a lot, and there is no need to calculate at all. They just need to meet the needs of the public. Chapter 3194. From the looks of it, he still had to give little Nine a call and ask her to help him develop another single-chip microcomputer. Okay, then you can work on this peripheral. Then, I'll ask others to help me develop a new single-chip microcomputer. BR/okay, Lin Yi bro, I understand, Lu Jinghan said. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi called Little Nine and told her about the new MCU. Little Nine happily agreed, but after agreeing, she asked, Brother Yi, you promised me and Sister Seven that you would come and see us, why haven't you come yet? Did you forget about it? Little Nine. I don't believe you don't know what I'm doing. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. Isn't it just being a bodyguard for a superstar? Little Nine snorted, a little unhappy. Since you know, you should understand my difficulties. Now that someone is targeting her, I can't just leave her and go abroad, right? Lin Yi said helplessly. If that's the case, then leave this to me. As long as Su Shihan goes abroad, will you go with her? Little Nine asked. It should be like this, but why does she want to go abroad? Lin Yi was slightly dazed. I'll think of a way to let her hold a concert or business event in Europe, then you can come with her, Little Nine said lightly. You? Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't think that Little Nine was so capable, to actually be able to hold a business event and a concert in Europe, as if she was the person in charge of some financial group. What, are you looking down on me? Let me tell you, I'm the hacker princess, my influence in the computer industry is unparalleled. As long as I let the word out, those technology-related financial groups will rush to please me, Hacker Princess said. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that the Hacker Princess was already at the pinnacle of the hacker world. If she wanted to organize Shirhan's concert or business event, it wouldn't be hard at all. That's fine, as long as there's a chance, I'll go, Lin Yi said. That's what you said, I'll think of a way later, Little Nine said. After ending the call with Little Nine, Lin Yi was about to tell Su Shirhan the news in advance. But what he didn't expect was that his phone immediately rang. Lin Yi looked at his phone and saw that it was Ling Shan calling him. Ling Shan, what's wrong? Lin Yi picked up the phone. Lin Yi, something happened. Auntie Wang was beaten. Ling Shan said anxiously. Tang Yuqi planned to stay in the country and bring his father, Tang Zhegong, back to the country. Under normal circumstances, he was a member of the Overseas Cultivators Association. If he wanted to stay in the country for a long time, he should have resigned from the Overseas Cultivators Association. Therefore, Tang Yuqi applied for his resignation according to the normal procedures. However, they didn't want him to leave and tried to persuade him to stay. However, Tang Yuqi had made up his mind. Therefore, the Overseas Cultivators Association sent 2 people to East Ocean City to persuade Tang Yuqi. In Tang Yuqi's hotel, Tang Yuqi received these 2 important figures of the Overseas Cultivators Association. These 2 were elders of the Overseas Cultivators Association and both were heaven rank experts. One was a Sky Class Mid-Stage Master, and the other was a Sky Class Mid-Stage Peak. These were people that Tang Yuqi couldn't even see normally, but now that 2 of them came together, Tang Yuqi was flattered. Elder Wang, Elder Chen, I'm really flattered by your presence. Tang Yuqi didn't understand why these 2 elders came personally, and he was about to leave the association, but the necessary etiquette was still necessary. Brother Tang, you don't have to be so polite. You are now a heaven stage expert and also a candidate for the elders of our Overseas Cultivators Association. We are on equal footing. Elder Wang said. He was a heaven stage middle stage expert. That's right, Brother Tang, we can call each other brothers from now on, Elder Chen said. You're too kind, elders. How can I, Tang Yuqi, be on equal footing with the elders of the Overseas Cultivators Association? Moreover, I've already submitted my resignation, and I'm about to leave the association. I really can't accept being called brother. You can just call me Little Tang or Yuqi. Tang Yuqi said sincerely. However, Tang Yuqi didn't expect that his words didn't make the 2 elders happy. Instead, their faces turned gloomy. Brother Tang, your words are different. You're a Sky Class Master now, and you're a top-notch existence in the association. Elder Chen said, if you're an ordinary cultivator, it's fine if you leave, but you can't leave if you're above Sky Class. This is the answer that our elders gave after consulting the association's president and vice president. If you want to leave the Cultivator Trading Association, that's impossible. Tang Yuqi was in a difficult position. I'm going to stay here, so I can't be in charge of the association anymore. Even if I don't want to leave, I have no choice. Can you make an exception here? That's not possible. Elder Wang also spoke up, Old Shen and I came here to bring you back. Don't think about it anymore. You have the strength you have today because of the elixirs given to you by the Overseas Cultivators Association. Without our cultivation resources, how could you be a Heaven Realm expert now? Don't forget your roots. Tang Yuqi hesitated. He wasn't an ungrateful person. He also knew that it wouldn't be nice to reject them at this time. However, he had already decided to stay here. There was no way he could handle the affairs of the Overseas Cultivators Association. Isn't it just using a few elixirs and resources from your Overseas Cultivators Association? I'll return them to you, don't make things difficult for my nephew. At this time, Mrs. Tang heard the conversation in the room and pushed the door open. Mrs. Tang was a mystic class master now, and her hearing was far superior to the average person's. She could hear everything clearly from outside the door, and when she heard how unreasonable the two elders of the association were, she got a little angry and yelled at them. Chapter 3195. I am from Shuegu, I can give you all these things. Go back now, Tang Yuqi will not go back with you. Mrs. Tang said to Elder Chen and Elder Wang, not only will I return them to you, I will also give you some more treasures. Humph, we don't need these things, we have them too, we just want Tang Yuqi to go back with us. Elder Chen said faintly, I don't care if you are from Shuegu or not, but you better not interfere with the internal affairs of the association, or I won't go easy on you. Won't go easy on me? Mrs. Tang sneered. This is the territory of the ancient sects, not the territory of the Overseas Cultivators Association. I should be the one advising you not to behave atrociously here. Otherwise, I won't hold back. Slap. Elder Chen slapped Mrs. Tang's face. He was going to bring Tang Yuqi back to work with him, so he didn't want to make their relationship too awkward. After all, if she hit Tang Yuqi, it wouldn't look good when they worked together. But Mrs. Tang was different. She was only Tang Yuqi's second aunt, and she was only a mystic class master. Her status in the Snowy Valley couldn't possibly be that high. Because of this, Elder Chen didn't take her seriously at all and gave her a slap. You hit me? Mrs. Tang held her swollen cheek, shocked and angry. You dare hit me? Are you trying to challenge Shuegu? You're just a mystic, how can you represent Shuegu? Elder Chen laughed coldly, don't think I don't know anything. Even if you are from Shuegu, you're not someone important. That's enough. Go away. If you continue to nag at me, I'll beat you into a cripple. I am the mother of Shuegu's elder. Shuegu Inspector, Overseas Cultivators Association, I'll remember this, I'll have people kill you too. Mrs. Tang was furious. She pointed at Elder Chen. Kill us? I'll kill you right now. Elder Chen kicked Mrs. Tang's body, sending her flying into the wall with a loud bang. When Mrs. Tang landed on the ground, she was gasping for air. It was obvious that she wouldn't be able to survive if they didn't help her. You've gone too far. Tang Yuqi looked at second aunt, who was beaten up because of a disagreement. He said angrily, she is innocent. How could you do this to her? It's not like you don't know the rules of the Overseas Cultivators Association. You can't attack ordinary people. Is she an ordinary person? Elder Chen laughed mockingly. I heard that she is an ordinary person. She was from the Snow Valley. And what kind of patroller is this? How is this an ordinary person? Yes, she is a cultivator. Elder Wang nodded in agreement. He said in support. Sigh. Tang Yuqi had no choice but to take out a small reversion pill from his body. However, he hesitated for a moment and changed it to a great reversion pill. The small reversion pill probably had no effect on Mrs. Tang's injuries. Even if she took it and recovered, she would be a cripple. The great reversion pill should be able to completely heal her injuries. However, just as Tang Yuqi took out the elixir, Elder Chen snatched it away and said, since you've already withdrawn from the Overseas Cultivators Association, return our elixir to us. Tang Yuqi was exasperated, but he couldn't say anything. Elder Chen was right. This was indeed the case. These elixirs belonged to the Overseas Cultivators Association. Of course, if you agree to go back with us and become an elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association, then I can still return these pills to you. After all, you are also an elder. These pills can be used as you wish, Elder Chen said threateningly. Tang Yuqi was in a difficult position. If he accepted the pills, it meant that he had to go back with Elder Chen. Even if his father came back, he couldn't visit him often. In fact, Tang Yuqi's plan was to go to the Snow Valley every once in a while and become a guest elder of the Snow Valley. This way, he would have the right to live in the Snow Valley. However, if he went back overseas, he wouldn't even be able to become a guest elder, let alone stay there for a while. The key problem was that Tang Yuqi's father had already returned. Why would he go overseas? Wasn't it superfluous? However, Tang Yuqi also knew that if he didn't agree now, then Elder Chen would definitely not give him the pills. Then, there would be no hope for second aunt. This wasn't what Tang Yuqi wanted to see. Tang Yuqi gritted his teeth and said to Elder Chen helplessly, "All right, I'll go back with you. Return the Great Reversion Pill to me. That's the way." Elder Chen nodded his head in satisfaction, then said, "I can't give her the Great Rejuvenation Pill, you should give her the Small Rejuvenation Pill. Isn't she the mother of the Snow Valley Elder? Doesn't she have so many resources? Then she'll definitely have the Great Reversion Pill when she goes back. Right now, we just need to keep her life. We'll even save a Great Reversion Pill." Tang Yuqi was very angry, but he knew that he couldn't argue with Elder Chen. Time was pressing, and if he didn't give Mrs. Tang the little reversion pill, then her life would be in danger. And so Tang Yuqi had no choice but to take out the little reversion pill and give it to Mrs. Tang. After taking the little reversion pill, Mrs. Tang's breathing calmed down. Her life was saved, but her strength was definitely crippled. Of course, that was without the Great Reversion Pill. Ling Shan had been with Mrs. Tang these past few days, not for Tang Yuqi, but for Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang was Tang Yun's mother, after all, and Tang Yun's position by Lin Yi's side was self-evident. In order to leave a good impression on Mrs. Tang, Ling Shan had been by Mrs. Tang's side these past few days. When she heard the fighting and saw that Mrs. Tang was injured, she didn't dare stop it, but the first thing she did was call Lin Yi. "What? Auntie Wang was hit? Who hit her? She's a practitioner, who the hell would dare hit her?" Ling Shan's phone rang out, and Lin Yi felt a surge of anger rise up from the pit of his stomach. Another practitioner, from overseas. This is what happened. Ling Shan started explaining to Lin Yi, telling Lin Yi everything in detail. Chapter 3196. So, Lin Yi rushed to the hotel at lightning speed. At the door of the room, he saw Tang Yuqi giving Mrs. Tang a circulation pill. Lin Yi was furious when he saw Mrs. Tang's pitiful state. Who did it? As Lin Yi said that, he walked into the room and revealed his early heaven rank power. "Literature library, I hit her." "Why? Are you going to stand up for her?" Elder Chen looked at Lin Yi and asked calmly and disdainfully. In his eyes, Lin Yi was just a small heaven rank initial phase expert. He did not need to put him in his eyes at all. Therefore, when he spoke, he also revealed his peak heaven rank middle stage strength. In reality, what he didn't know was that even if he didn't show it, Lin Yi could still clearly see his strength. "Yes." Lin Yi nodded and said, "Overseas Cultivators Association, I don't want to become enemies with you, so I'll give you a chance. Leave now, and I'll let this matter go. Otherwise, we'll be mortal enemies." "Death grudge? Haha." Elder Wang burst into laughter. "What a joke. Death feud? Do you have the right to talk to the Overseas Cultivators Association about a feud? Do you think you're so awesome? In my eyes, a heaven rank early stage expert is still not enough. You're also from the Snow Valley?" Elder Chen asked. After all, Lin Yi was an early stage heaven class master. This was different from Mrs. Tang, who was a low-level mystic class master. Heaven class masters were highly valued in any sect. Just like how they treated Tang Yuqi, it was the same for Lin Yi. If something happened to Lin Yi, his sect would definitely not let it go. "No, my name is Lin Yi." "He's a wandering cultivator." Lin Yi said faintly, "If you've heard of my name, you'd better leave now." "I'll say it again, if you start a feud with me. It's a death grudge. Rogue cultivators? Elder Chen was slightly stunned. Then, he laughed and said, "Good, very good. I would like to see that." What was a death grudge? To tell you the truth, we're leaving with Tang Yuqi. Previously, Lin Yi was afraid that Tang Yuqi would be put in a difficult position, so he didn't make a move directly. But now, he couldn't bear it anymore. He had already warned Elder Chen, and if Elder Chen didn't listen, there was nothing he could do. Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm, 9th style. Lin Yi suddenly attacked. He sent a palm strike towards the laughing Elder Chen. Lin Yi's sudden attack. This caught Elder Chen off guard. However, he wasn't too nervous. If he took a hit from Lin Yi, he would at most be injured. Then, he would have a reason to kill Lin Yi. Moreover, he also had a Dahuan pill in his hands. He wasn't afraid of getting hurt at all. Moreover, what Lin Yi used was the 9th style. Although Elder Chen hadn't heard of the Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm before, it didn't matter. He knew the power of the 9th style. It wouldn't affect him much if it hit him. You should have asked him to leave the recover pill. If second aunt doesn't take the recover pill, she would probably be a cripple for the rest of her life. Oh, it's fine. Get me a room and bring Aunt Wang there. I'll treat her myself. In actuality, Lin Yi had just used the 9th form of the Fire 8 trigrams palm. His body was very weak, but he didn't show it. He wanted a room to himself so that he could recover in the name of treatment. Brother Lin can heal? Tang Yuqi was very surprised. Yes, Lin Yi is a skilled doctor. This kind of injury is nothing. Ling Shan explained to Lin Yi. Chapter 3197. Lin Yi smiled at Mrs. Tang after entering the room. Auntie Wang, don't worry. Your injuries are nothing to me, but can you keep this a secret for me? Don't tell Shuegu about this? Of course. Mrs. Tang nodded without hesitation. She was on Lin Yi's side, after all, and even if Lin Yi didn't say anything, she wouldn't casually spill the beans about Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded and started channeling the 3rd stage of the art of dragon mastery, healing Mrs. Tang and recovering his qi at the same time. In Tang Yuqi's room, however, Tang Yuqi was frowning. Ling Shan, this is over for now, but the association probably won't let this go easily. I'm sure they'll come looking for trouble again, and Lin Yi bro Lin will be dragged into this. Tang Yuqi sighed. It's nothing, Lin Yi only did it because of Auntie Wang. Ling Shan didn't think that it was because of Tang Yuqi. It depended on how one looked at it. Mrs. Tang and Lin Yi didn't seem to have anything to do with each other on the surface, but Ling Shan knew their relationship very well. Lin Yi getting into trouble with the association for helping Mrs. Tang wasn't a big deal. Auntie Wang is my second aunt, this is all because of me. Tang Yuqi blamed himself. It's all because I spoke too fast and reported the news of me advancing to the heaven rank. Otherwise, they wouldn't have known about this. If I had applied to leave the Overseas Cultivators Association, they might have directly approved it and wouldn't have sent anyone here. It's already happened, there's no point in talking about this. Let's see what Lin Yi has to say later. Ling Shan said. As she spoke, Lin Yi walked in with Mrs. Tang, who was as good as new. Mrs. Tang looked as if she'd just been injured, and Tang Yuqi couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. Auntie, you're better? Tang Yuqi asked, surprised. Yes, I'm better now. Mrs. Tang had absolute trust in Lin Yi. That's good. Brother Lin, I've discussed it with Ling Shan just now. The Overseas Cultivators Association won't let this go so easily. This time, they lost a heaven stage expert, they will definitely come for revenge. Tang Yuqi said. I know that, but Auntie Wang is from the Snow Valley, so she shouldn't be afraid. As long as they don't dare to cause trouble in the Snow Valley after they go back, they will only be courting death. Lin Yi said, as for me, I'm guessing that when they make a move, they will also investigate and not dare to act rashly. After all, this is not their territory. You're right, but I've troubled you. Tang Yuqi said solemnly. You should worry about yourself now. This conflict started because of you, so you are the one they want to take revenge on and threaten the most, Lin Yi said. I know, but we have to face it eventually. Now, we just need to wait for my father's plane to arrive here today, and then we'll go to the Snow Valley. You're right, we're the safest in the Snow Valley, Tang Yuqi said. She couldn't reject it even if she wanted to. Yu Xiaoke wanted to earn some money to relieve her stress. Even if it was a drop in the bucket, it was better than nothing. However, Yu Xiaoke didn't know what else to do other than being a thief. Ken, on the other hand, saw all of this. He couldn't help but call Lin Yi. Lin Yi thought for a moment, and an idea came to his mind. He quickly said, I have an idea. The superstar Su Shihan is with me right now. If we can let her hold a charity concert and a fundraiser, we might be able to earn some money, but not too much. It won't be comparable to Fatty Lai's support. Chapter 3198. Sure, that's great, I'll tell Xiaoke sis now, so that she won't have to worry and become a thief again, Xiao Ken said happily. Tell her about it, I'll discuss it with Su Shihan, Lin Yi said. Okay. Thank you, Lin Yi bro. Xiao Ken prepared to tell Xiaoke the good news. On Xiaoke's side, she heard the news from Xiao Ken. She knew that Xiao Ken must be looking for Lin Yi, or else Lin Yi wouldn't know that she would be worried. However, she had no reason to reject Lin Yi's proposal. After hesitating for a while, Xiaoke finally agreed and went to report to the headmaster. On the other hand, Lin Yi found Su Shihan, who was rehearsing with Cheng Yi upstairs. He told her about the charity concert, and Su Shihan happily agreed. After all, she had a good relationship with Lin Yi, and during this period of time, Lin Yi's careful protection made Su Shihan very grateful, so she agreed without hesitation. As Su Shihan's best friend, Cheng Yi naturally agreed to participate in the concert. Su Shihan was already very popular, and with the addition of Cheng Yi, this concert would be very successful. After all, Su Shihan and Cheng Yi had two different styles. One was a pure and innocent girl, and the other was sexy and hot. Their fans didn't overlap, and this would increase the number of people attending the concert. One more thing, I have a friend in Europe, and she wants to invite you to Europe for a performance or a business event. Are you interested? Lin Yi asked. Oh. Europe? Su Shihan paused. She was very popular in the Asia market, but she wasn't that popular in Europe. Inviting her to Europe for a performance was something that had never happened before, and so she was smart enough to figure it out immediately. Lin Yi, I'm afraid that this time, it's not me, but you? Your friend wanted to see you, but you refused because you were my bodyguard. Is that why she invited me? Alright, you guessed it. Lin Yi didn't expect Shihan to be this smart, guessing it right away. Sure, it's a good thing to expand the market. Of course, there's no problem. Shihan nodded. What Xiaoke didn't expect was that when she told the dean about Su Shihan coming to the orphanage, the dean, who had never objected to anything before, suddenly objected to Xiaoke's suggestion. Don't invite Su Shihan here. This is an orphanage. We don't need those things. The dean's eyes flashed with a strange look. She shook her head and rejected the idea. Ah. Xiaoke froze. She thought she heard it wrong. Master, this is a good thing. Besides, it's normal for celebrities to do a performance. They have a lot of fans. If each of them donate, it'll be a lot. Why don't we need it? Xiaoke, I don't think it's appropriate to do this. Besides, they have their own things to do. Aren't you asking them to do a performance because Lin Yi is doing them a favor? The dean thought about it and said. But Lin Yi has done a lot of favors for the orphanage. I can't even repay it in my entire life. This time won't make a difference, right? Xiaoke was a bit troubled. Logically speaking, the dean shouldn't have rejected it, and the reason he did it sounded so far-fetched. Xiaoke didn't know what to make of it. I just don't want to trouble others, the dean said helplessly after hearing Xiaoke's words. Then let's see what Lin Yi thinks. If he makes it difficult, then forget it. If he doesn't, then we'll go with the plan? Xiaoke said. Okay, let's see what Lin Yi thinks. The dean nodded. On Lin Yi's side, after getting confirmation from Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, he called Xiaoke. What? Xiaoke was excited and looking forward to it, but when the words were at the tip of her tongue, it turned into a cold what. It was as if she didn't want to answer the call. Lin Yi didn't mind. He only smiled. Xiaoke, I've already told Su Shihan and Cheng Yi. They can participate in the charity performance and help with the donation. They won't take a single cent from the donation. It'll all be transferred into the orphanage's account. Ah, really? That's great. Xiaoke didn't think that Cheng Yi would come as well. Two celebrities were more appealing than one. This way, the orphanage's financial problems would be temporarily alleviated. When Xiaoke picked up the call, the dean was right beside her. Seeing the excited Xiaoke, she felt helpless. She didn't know what to say. It seemed like even though she was against it, she could only agree to Xiaoke's request. Of course, it's true. Get ready here. I'll get someone to plan it and then we'll go. Lin Yi said. Okay. Xiaoke nodded happily. After hanging up, Xiaoke turned to the dean. Master, now that Lin Yi's done, you won't object anymore, right? It's done. What else can I say? The dean smiled and said to Xiaoke, just do it according to your plan. Thank you, master. Xiaoke saw that her master agreed and was very happy. Su Shihan and Cheng Yi's charity concert and charity event were all planned by their manager and company. Lin Yi didn't need to worry about it. In his free time, Lin Yi focused on condensing the forging fire. Now, Lin Yi could control the forging fire. Next, Lin Yi could officially condense the jade space. But what made Lin Yi unhappy was that his Sky-class early phase strength didn't show any signs of breaking through. His strength was still the same. Even if Lin Yi had the jade space to help him, this training speed still didn't satisfy Lin Yi. Lin Yi missed the days when he slept with Wang Xinyan. His training speed at that time was really fast. However, there was a limit to the fragrance in Wang Xinyan's body. If he breathed too much of it, her body would have problems. So, Lin Yi would rather slow down his training speed than touch Wang Xinyan. Fortunately, the jade space could be refined. It was a comfort to Lin Yi. Chapter 3199. After informing Su Shihan, Cheng Yi, and Yushu that he was going into closed-door training for a few days, Lin Yi returned to his room and prepared the 3 materials needed for condensing the jade pendant. Then, he went through the method of condensing the jade pendant in detail. After all, this was his first time condensing. Lin Yi still followed the principle of being careful and doing it step by step. The jade pendant wouldn't be damaged, but if the condensing failed, all the materials would be wasted. And these materials were collected by Lin Yi through hard work. Naturally, he couldn't just watch them go to waste. According to the instructions, Lin Yi put a certain proportion of colored steel, pure yellow jade, and blue crystal powder on the ground. There were no special requirements for the environment needed for the casting. It wasn't like alchemists who needed a cauldron to cast. As for blacksmiths, they relied on their own forging fire to condense and change the shape of the materials. As long as the ground could withstand the temperature of Lin Yi's forging fire, then he could smoothly condense the jade pendant space. After preparing these things, Lin Yi slowly took off the jade pendant on his neck. This jade pendant was what Lin Yi relied on all the way. Naturally, he had to be careful, afraid that he would accidentally break it. Jiao Lao, can you still hear me? Lin Yi subconsciously asked after taking off the jade pendant. No answer. It seemed that the connection between the jade pendant space was only built on the condition that it was in contact with his body. Once the jade pendant left his body, it wouldn't communicate with him. Thinking of this, Lin Yi held the jade pendant in his hand again and asked tentatively, Jiao Lao, can you still hear me now? I can now, Jiao Lao's voice sounded. Lin Yi, are you starting to condense the jade pendant space? Yes. Lin Yi nodded. After forging, I can already control it skillfully. Now I plan to condense the space in the jade pendant. Jiao Lao, do you have any instructions for me? No, I don't know these things either. Jiao Yazi said, you should refine according to the instructions, you shouldn't fail. All right. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and placed the jade pendant between the three materials. Then, he began to condense the forging fire and began to refine the jade pendant space according to the instructions. The method seemed simple, but every step had to be repeated a certain number of times and a certain amount of time. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's super endurance, he would have given up long ago. This was because the time required to forge weapons was much longer than refining pills, and the steps were much more complicated. Not only must both hands be able to condense the forging fire, but one hand must also assist in changing the shape of the material and fusing it with the jade pendant. However, although Lin Yi was mediocre in refining pills, he was quite talented in forging weapons. In other words, the art of dragon mastery had changed Lin Yi's talent. Although refining the jade pendant space was extremely complicated, Lin Yi still carried it out in an orderly manner under the instructions. 3 days passed in the boring process of refining. Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry, but he followed the instructions step by step. Finally, all the steps were completed in the early morning of the 4th day. Lin Yi watched as the colored steel, pure topaz, and blue crystal powder were all fused with the jade pendant. Then, he increased the temperature of the forging fire according to the instructions and began the last step of refining the jade pendant. Fastening. 3 hours later, Lin Yi saw that the luster on the jade pendant was getting closer and closer to when it wasn't being refined. He slowly put away the forging fire. The jade pendant space was finally condensed successfully. Looking at the jade pendant in his hand, Lin Yi was very excited. Is this the jade pendant that has been condensed? But there's nothing special about it from before. At least from the outside, it looks exactly the same. Jiao Lao, this jade pendant space is refined successfully, but it doesn't look special? Lin Yi couldn't help but ask. Of course there's nothing special about this jade pendant, but the jade pendant space is formed. Jiao Lao said indifferently, you can't see the space you use for cultivation even if you hold it in your hand now. This is true. Lin Yi nodded. What should I do then? Elder Jiao explained. Wear the jade pendant space on your body and use your mind to sense it. You'll find that there's a small storage space next to the jade pendant's cultivation space. You can put your items in there. Oh. Lin Yi quickly put the jade pendant on his body and began to sense the jade pendant space with his mind. Sure enough, there was a small independent space next to the jade pendant space that was normally used for cultivation. Although the space wasn't big, it really formed. This made Lin Yi very excited. Is this considered a success? Yes, won't you know if it's a success or not if you try? Jiao Lao asked. Try? How do I need to try? Lin Yi said quickly. It's still your mind. For example, you can use your mind to put the teacup on the table into your jade pendant space. Jiao Lao said. I'll try. Lin Yi couldn't wait to look at the teacup on the table. Then, he began to use his mind to put the teacup into his jade pendant space. Sure enough, the teacup on the table disappeared out of thin air. The next moment, Lin Yi saw the teacup on the table in the newly formed jade pendant space. The teacup was perfectly still in the jade pendant space. Lin Yi tried to shake his body, but the teacup was still in the jade pendant space. It didn't shake with him. In this way, even if Lin Yi put a cup of water in the space, it could be guaranteed that it wouldn't spill out. How is it? It's not bad, right? Jiao Yazi asked. Not bad, very good. It's amazing. Lin Yi said with some excitement. With such a space, Lin Yi could carry some important things with him and didn't have to worry about losing them. Lin Yi immediately put the map fragments in the drawer, the used energy stones, the spiritual beast essence Niden, the remaining materials for refining the jade pendant space, and the few heaven-level divine weapons and other useful things into the jade pendant space. However, the weight of the jade pendant didn't increase at all. This made Lin Yi click his tongue in wonder. Chapter 3200. Oh. What news? Lin Yi was slightly stunned and asked quickly. After the next stone door is opened, there will be a second refining method for the jade space. After refining the jade space, you can get even more magical benefits. Jiao Lao said. What benefits? Lin Yi couldn't wait to ask, but after asking, he shook his head and smiled bitterly. I'm afraid I don't need to guess. You will say that your memory hasn't been unlocked yet, and you don't know for the time being, right? Yes, why ask if you already know? Jiao Lao said matter-of-factly, which made Lin Yi angry. The success of refining the jade space made Lin Yi somewhat excited. In the following days, Lin Yi also began to help Su Shihan and Cheng Yi prepare for the orphanage's benefit concert. Such a big event must be publicized in advance. This publicity period needed at least a month. Otherwise, even if a big star suddenly held a concert, it would be impossible to achieve the desired effect. And during this time, what was worth being excited about was that Han Jingjing's new alchemy peripheral was successfully put into the market. Those sects and families who originally thought that Heaven Elixir sex counterfeit cauldrons could also be upgraded were dumbfounded. You can upgrade it, but this peripheral needs to be connected to a wireless network and through server authentication to calculate data. How can Heaven Elixir sect imitate it? Of course, this peripheral not only made those who bought Heaven Elixir sex cauldrons dumbfounded, but it also made Kong Mingming a little unprepared. He didn't expect Lu Jinghan to directly release the peripheral without upgrading it. This made Dr. Benjamin Tu, who originally cracked the MCU encryption, completely useless. Because the peripheral's encryption method was completely different from before. If he wanted to crack it, he had to study it again. The previous promise of Heaven Elixir sect to provide upgrade services as soon as possible became empty words. After all, Dr. Benjamin Tu hadn't cracked it yet. What could he use to upgrade? Although they had sold a lot of them before and had accumulated a lot of customers, if they couldn't provide upgrade services in a short time, the reputation of the Heavenly Elixir sect would be ruined. At that time, it would be even more difficult to sell these things. After all, after so many piracy attacks, it was hard to say whether those customers would still believe in Heaven Elixir sex counterfeit cauldrons. Professor Benjamin II, when will you be able to crack this peripheral? Kong Mingming was a little anxious. Although he had made some money before, it was nothing compared to the loss of the first-grade medicinal pellets. After all, half of the profits were given to Miss Luan. Kong Mingming only enjoyed half. This half was sold under the banner of Heaven Elixir sect, using the reputation of Heaven Elixir sect, so he had to leave half for Heaven Elixir sect. In the end, the remaining 25% belonged to the Xianchen ancestor. Calculating it this way, there really wasn't much left. This was also the reason why Kong Xiaoming was annoyed. He and the Xianchen ancestor were now grasshoppers on a string. If the Xianchen ancestor lost money, it was equivalent to Kong Xiaoming losing money. It can't be cracked in a short time. Dr. Benjamin Tu said, I have seen the server of the Lu Group. It uses a database and background system that are not available on the market. It should be self-made. The security is very high. At least with my strength, I can't crack it in a short time. What? That means we have no hope. Our medicinal cauldron can't be upgraded? Kang Mingming was shocked after listening. He didn't want this medicinal cauldron to be put aside and unable to be upgraded. Then, who could he sell it to? It's not that there is no way. There is a way, but it is a little more troublesome, said Dr. Benjamin too. What way? Asked Kang Mingming quickly. It's very simple. That is to buy more of these peripherals and medicinal cauldrons. Then, find a large group of alchemists to use these peripherals to refine elixirs and intercept and save the data transmitted from the server. With so much data, it basically covers the parameters of other alchemists. Generally, they can be matched and used. If there are a few that can't be used, then we can customize it for them and let them use the peripherals of the Lu group to experiment with alchemy. After intercepting the data, we will upgrade them, said Dr. Benjamin too. How many medicinal cauldrons and peripherals do we need to invest? Kang Mingming took a breath of cold air. Moreover, if I buy a set of peripherals and medicinal cauldrons for people to experiment with, won't I lose a lot? Upgrading is cheaper than Lin Yi's side. If I buy a set of Lin Yi's medicinal cauldrons and peripherals just for one parameter, am I not crazy? Then, there is no other way. What I said is the easiest way to achieve at present. If you don't accept this method, then I can only slowly study the Lu group server, but don't have too much hope, said Dr. Benjamin too. What should I do? Kang Mingming was very unwilling. Dr. Benjamin said so, which meant that there was really no way, but he didn't want his career, which had just made money, to die. You can think of other ways. For example, how did you get the MCU program? You can continue to use the same method to get the server's program back, said Dr. Benjamin. Oh. Then, if I get the server's program, what if he upgrades it again? Asked Kang Mingming. Upgrading again is unlikely. What I can think of is that the functions of this medicinal cauldron are already the limit. Adding more is just increasing the types of alchemy. However, whether it is to upgrade the MCU program or the server, it doesn't matter. We have already cracked the MCU. After it upgrades, we can launch the corresponding upgrade program in a day or even a few hours. Dr. Benjamin too said, if it is a server upgrade, it doesn't matter. I don't believe that they can recreate a new set of background systems and databases with this set of background systems and databases. They just need to upgrade, but as long as I have the source code, I can find the loopholes and ways to crack it. So, for me, there is no pressure. In other words, if I get the server's background code and database, then everything will be fine, right? After Kang Mingming listened, he rekindled his hope. You can say that. Dr. Benjamin too nodded and said, you're tuning into the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.